Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Reese Pound, Dal West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, theflatearthchannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Steve ALM, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Edwin Johnson, Abraham Mohammed, David Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by several people in Discord, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the next live show.
When people come in and your name comes up and they don't know who you are. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the same answer though. I mean, I might have misinterpreted.
Yeah, I know.
I might have misinterpreted what you said on Friday, but yeah, the same principle applies though. You know, if I can grow my channel more, I've got more time. That's the bottom line.
Leave me your car keys.
Huh?
Take the van.
I gotta get everything out of there. Get all my tools in there.
Van. I have a van.
I gotta put myself on mute.
No worries, everyone else is off mute, so.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello?
Hey, man. Did I hear you say that you were once a sales rep, or you were into like pro audio gear?
Yeah, that's right.
I did the same thing for about 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Sold, what's that?
I said, oh, wow, cool. What did you sell? You were about to explain what you sold for 13 years, but I cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You know, just recording gear, guitars, just all musical stuff, pretty much. Help people set up studios and help them with the software and stuff like that.
I only just started looking into it on that side of the fence. So I overlapped into pro gear and visited studios to sell them some of the equipment that we made, or that was made by the company I work for. But it was maybe 10% of what I did. Most of what I did was deal with hi-fi enthusiasts by way of retailers that I was selling to, right? And it's only since doing this more seriously, i.e. YouTube, that I've started to look more into the pro side of things. And it's really eye-opening because they've got a totally different view on how things are. So in the most instances, they can say, yeah, we figured this out. We can measure and test all of it, right? And here's the measurements, here's the tests. That's how it is. Whereas in the audio industry for domestic consumption, it's totally different. There's no regulations and it's all smoke and mirrors. it's really crazy. It's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, I just purchased the Universal Audio Apollo X4, their new little interface, and it's quite amazing. I mean, it's a huge step up as far as sound quality and what you can get for the money.
Audio interface, you mean preamp, right?
Yeah, it has a preamp in it. You know, it's called the it's Universal Audio, so it's a UA X4, I think, and it has their I don't know what preamps are in it, but I mean it's pretty much, look at like I think his name's Cayenne West or some rapper. It's what all the guys are using, like at their house. You know, that they're not getting all the old school tube preamps and the compressors Instead, they're going with this little unit because Universal Audio actually, kind of copied all their preamps and their compressors and limiters stuff and made great plugins that the actual interface runs. Uses, instead of your computer using the CPU, it kind of runs it.
Yeah, they call it in the box. So yeah, that's right. They've taken a lot
Yeah.
of these expensive pieces of equipment that might have cost you several £100 or more, and they've just turned them into a plugin, and you can do it all in your software rather than actually on a piece of equipment, like you say, with your
Yeah.
compressors and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's interesting because one of the things I learnt recently was about transparency, and it was a term that was used but never explained to me. And it's only since starting to sort of research this stuff that I figured out what it actually meant and what it entailed and what it takes to achieve it. So when you talk about things like preamps, you mentioned valves. Well, whenever you're dealing with anything valve related, it's got harmonic distortion. Therefore, you're talking about something that's got colour, right? Which is fine. If you're recording, especially, you want a certain type of colour on the sound. There's nothing wrong with that. But in reproduction, you don't want colour. You just want it to be transparent, meaning a certain level of performance without boring the pants off the people listening to this as I'm recording it. But things like, to make it simple, low levels of distortion. There's a certain point that once it's below that point, you can't hear it, therefore inaudible, and various other different things. But like I say, I won't bore you with. But once you reach that point, the piece of equipment becomes transparent, and therefore it makes absolutely no difference. It won't sort of input any characteristic on the sound, right? And you can go up in terms of hi-fi, where typically it's just them adding various colours with valves and things. But with decent audio for reproduction, it's just a case of once you get to the point that the item you're talking about is transparent, like a preamp, for example. So my preamp's a digital preamp, and it's transparent. In other words, it doesn't do anything. It just adjusts the volume, right? It doesn't input any sound on the signal. So therefore, It might as well not be there, right? It doesn't change anything, doesn't alter anything, doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything away. Same goes for my amps. And it's only recently, since learning the importance of that you say, well, a lot of the higher end stuff, it sort of reaches a point where basically you can't improve upon it. All you will do is add a certain warmth or coloration to the sound, i.e. a distortion of a pleasing nature. But beyond that, if you're not going for colour, you're just going for accuracy. Certainly I do. You just reach a point where that's it. That's as good as it gets. You can do whatever you like, and it won't make any difference. It'll just sound the same. Especially preamps. Anyway, fascinating. I love it. I'm a proper nut about audio reproduction, audio recording, all that stuff. It's fascinating to me.
Well, have you ran into the new software they developed? I think Sonar made it, and it's so pretty much you can buy cheap studio monitors, run this software with the microphone I think you get with it, and it will actually shape the sound to be correct for mixing in that particular room that you're in.
Yeah, I've seen them being used. When I saw them, the engineer that was using them, he set it up. He showed how he did it. He showed the mic that was running active. It's always running. But it was in a fully treated studio, and it's kind of a bit like EQ. In other words, if your room's crap, you can apply EQ, but will it fix the problems with the room? No, it won't. But if you've already fixed the problems with the room, you can sort of dial it in that little bit more with EQ, and the same applies with these mics. Yeah. They're essentially just an active EQ for the speaker, and if you're in an untreated room and you whack that system together, it just wouldn't work, because you can't do anything about room modes and reflections and things like that. You just can't do anything about those things unless you treat them. The mic, you can't cancel out what is essentially distortion. If the sound's bounced off a wall and then literally mixes in with the direct sound, that's distortion. And what's the mic going to do about that? Well, nothing. It can't. It's bounced off the wall and has reached your ears. That's the end of it. There's a certain degree of compensation, okay. but yeah, for cool ideas. But it's just, I don't know, the acoustics element is the thing that I've most recently been studying, and found out a lot of other things about pro audio along the way of studying acoustics. And most of it, I brushed by it when I was in the industry and selling to studios. They'd talk about this stuff, but because I wasn't a trained engineer, some of it went straight over my head. And I'm not there to ask them questions about that sort of thing. I'm there to flog them an amplifier. You know what I mean? So while I heard the terms, there was a familiarity that I've only just sort of realised what a lot of the terminologies and what they meant and what that involved really meant since looking at acoustics. So it's just by coincidence that those particular speakers have crossed the path of me by looking into acoustics recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun industry. Did you travel around as a rep? Did you say?
Well, I mainly stayed at a particular storefront for about 11 years, and but I had a lot of people have me come over and set up their studio, but I've learned a lot, looking at all these studios and what gear to get, what I'm seeing, people actually using what they say works. But yeah, I wish I would got paid to travel. That'd been pretty cool.
I wish somebody had told me about acoustic treatment 20 years ago, if I'm honest. It's one of those things that, having recently dabbled in it and seen it time and time again in the studios that sounded good and never put two and two together. All right, this studio sounds good because it's really well treated. You'd always go, oh, look how much gear they've got in here. It's because of my amplifiers. This sounds good. Nah, it's not. But there we go.
I think isn't it is it called Acuralex or Acuralex, the
Aralex, yeah, you're talking about foam,
little panels you can get. I think.
Yeah, Aralex.
Now, if I remember correctly, okay, I think it was about 10 years ago. They were saying that you could measure your room, send them the size, and they would actually, send you back exactly what you needed. Because my studio was filled from ceiling to floor with foam, and but they were telling me, it might not hardly need anything. They would put it in their software, and it'd give back exactly where it needs to be.
You can do that yourself now for free. Room EQ Wizard or REW. It's completely free. I think realistically you need
what is it?
$100 test mic that's flat, but that's about it. It's completely free software. It's really cool. Gives you the waterfall graphs, the full shebang. Gives you everything. It's really cool.
What's it called again?
Room EQ Wizard. If you just typed in REW, it would bring it up, and it's just free download. And like I say, so long as you've got a flat mic, or if not, just buy one. They're £100. You stick it in the room, and it runs test sweeps and tells you exactly what the room's doing. Tells you how much decay you've got, which frequencies are causing interference, what you've got constructively, what you've got deconstructively, the full shebang. Cool, man, and free. Yeah, that's a new one on me as well. I've only just started looking into this stuff. I had no idea that stuff even existed till 6 months ago, when I started researching it all. But yeah, and the more I look into it, it's more the good studios have got good acoustician behind them. Basically, got good treatment, good acoustic treatment. I'm getting there in here. It's just so expensive to do it. You look at each item and go, oh, it's only £30. Oh, it's only £40. Oh, it's only £60. But before you know it, you've got like dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and you've spent thousands. Got a bit carried away with it, actually. Ended up buying stuff, and just because it was small amounts each time, I think the most expensive item I bought was like a couple of £100 or £250, but that was the very first item. And from there on, everything was a little bit cheaper than that. Before you know it, I'd spent a fortune. I was like, looked at my overdraft, and I'm like, wow, I've spent so much money. Jesus. It's so easily done. Still a few more of you off mute.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, 10th man.
How's it going?
Yeah, very well.
Wonderful.
It's been like a gift from God today. Got to talk about acoustic treatments. Nobody is interested. And then the guy's like, hey, I used to work with studios. Oh, great.
Oh, nice.
Hey, Righteous.
Hey Nathan,
Yeah, right. Just how you doing?
doing very good.
Now you put out a new short FED cut.
Yeah, it was Jazzaconda talking about atmosphere. And at the end of that little clip, there was also a top 3 with Rumpus, Thunderfoot.
That was great.
Yeah, just trim that out and put it at the beginning, so it's like starts with the top 3, but it's actually the end of the video.
Cool. I just saw it, but haven't listened to it yet.
If nothing else, just listen to the first 60 seconds of it, because it starts where I'm doing the top 3.
Cool. So how long is the whole thing?
Longer than I thought. I remembered it being maybe 10 minutes long, but it was actually like 20 minutes long. The discussion with Jazz.
That's all right.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I was going to say, if I could stay on the show for over 2 hours, I think I can handle 20 minutes.
Sure, but yeah, the ideal time is, from a YouTube standpoint at least, 8 to 10 minutes. That's what they want. Their average engagement's about 3 or 4 minutes. Their ideal, or their hope, is that you get 7 minutes engagement on average.
4 more hours.
4 more hours.
but your analytics is what, 30 minutes or so as an average to listen to your show?
And I haven't looked in the last couple of days at my average watch time, but certainly the last time I looked on the second channel, yeah, it was about 30 minutes. It's less on the main channel, mainly because I release clips, which are considerably shorter than that anyway, so obviously I'm not going to have an average watch time of 30 minutes if there's clips that are 10 minutes. So, no, it's not that high. I think on the main channel it might actually still be 17, 18 minutes. I'll have a look now, give me a second. Tell you exactly.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Good.
Here we go. So I was bang on. 17 minutes, 13 seconds is the average view duration on the main channel.
So you go from 17 minutes to the shorter ones, 30 plus minutes for the full shows, and the YouTube average is about 3 minutes.
Something like that.
Well, that's really good.
For the second channel. Fun.
I don't understand. Even when I listen to the show that I've heard,
Gone up.
I can't shut it off.
God.
I listen the whole way.
Sorry to interrupt. My average view duration on the second channel is 37 minutes and 46 seconds. That's astonishingly high.
Well, especially
Your
when you go against
average viewer watches for nearly 38 minutes on the second channel. That's I didn't know it had gone up that much. Previous month was 33 minutes 26 seconds. So 37 minutes average watch time on the second channel. That's amazing.
No, that is good. That is very good. That's an average.
Yeah. I mean, it's only the second channel after, at the end of the day, so you can't plough too much into it. But there we go. Still, very good. There you go. Now you know.
Well, that's it. I'll give you my opinion on it based on just my own watch time. If you want to be a student and learn the arguments, you watch the show or listen to the show again, and you have a notepad and you take notes. So people like me would add to that watch time. If you happen to be a different kind of audience member, which is just for entertainment, you're only going to watch it once, unless you really caught a funny spot or, hey, I got to share this thing from a show I learned, and then they watch it again, but it's for entertainment. So you got two kinds of people: students who take notes and re-listen to make sure their notes are right, like me, and then other people who just for entertainment purposes. At least that's my view on it.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, whoever that was. Was that Paul?
Yes, it was me.
And hello,
Wow,
Beth.
your mic sounds different.
Yeah, my other one gave up the ghost, and I had to buy a new one, so got a new headset.
This is Mars better.
So all along, it was just that.
Hello, Bev.
Good afternoon.
Good presentation.
Good
I was
morning,
thinking,
Bev.
with them stats, then would that make, if the second show, would that make this the most watched bit? Then the very first bit of the 38 minutes.
Doesn't break down the stats that way for me. Oh no, I mean I'd have to go show by show. It'd take a long time.
Yeah.
I might be able to analyse the stats in that way to tell you exactly which bit of it's being watched the most. Because you're right, this goes out on the second channel, correct? And this is the first bit. So therefore, the most watched bit of my Flat Earth show on the second channel is me waffling on about acoustic treatment. Wonderful.
Well,
thanks for that, Beth. I'm really pleased you pointed that out.
But isn't this the most real part of the show, though? Before the show actually starts, though,
What,
you know?
where I talk about the technical limitations of my room and its acoustics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
behind the scenes, Nathan Oakley.
Yeah, or whether or not a Japanese car's a good buy brand or gearbox.
Which, by the way, I still haven't had any luck.
They're not here for flat Earth arguments. They're here for buying tips.
They can go to 1,000,001 different YouTubers for better tips on car buying than me, but there we go. I've got an opinion like everyone.
Well, yeah, that is some good numbers, that, though.
It is. I'm shocked. You can hear me stammering over my words over it because I was expecting it. I knew it was high. I was boasting that it was 30 minutes. So it was like nearly 38 minutes. You're like, wow, that's a long time for people to be sat in front of the show. On average as well.
That's average. So
Yeah.
you get people that click on and click off and other people that are watching the whole thing.
Yeah, it means there are people that were sitting through the entirety of the 2.5 hour, on most days, show in its entirety. To get that average.
It's a
that
lot
high.
of call for people just listening to other people chat.
So I understand. I mean, I've asked enough people about it, how they consume their content, and several of them have said of noteworthy mention would be Dave, allegedly Dave, when I quizzed him about his consumption of content. He was like, no, I like them, the longer the better. You know, if it's a good 3-hour show, I'll stick it on and listen to it. Preferably. In other words, I don't want to faff around with an hour-long show. Too short. I was like, really? I was like, I'm trying to get them to half an hour. He's like, no, I like them long. I was like, okay, so there's obviously, a fair amount of people who do want to stick it on, presumably like a podcast, just in the background. Hence me, encouraging people to verbalise things that might be visual.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, my missus, she listens to people playing Minecraft, talking about orange blocks and different types of wood. I mean, like she's happy with that sort of chat. So I imagine there's people everywhere that listen to all sorts of things.
Oh, definitely.
Just hearing other people talk is quite comforting to a lot of people.
Absolutely. I've got a tendency to watch speedrunning videos. I have absolutely no gaming interest whatsoever. I am not a gamer. The last time I played a game was to actually benchmark my computer, make sure it was overclocked correctly. But beyond that, it was never actually really played. I flew the helicopter around to see if the computer would crash. That's it. But watching a speedrun, watching somebody who has essentially dedicated their entire life to knocking a second off Mario, that is entertaining to me. That is just ace. Great.
Yeah, no frustration, all of the enjoyment.
Yeah, you're watching somebody who's basically, they call it grinding. They go through the level till they mess up, reset, go through the level till they mess up, reset, and they'll do it dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of times. And you'll get that snipped down to about 25, 30 minutes. Substantial chunk of someone's life. And you just watch it and see the achievement at the end and go, yay, well done. A second off, well done. But there's aspects of it that are interesting as well. The cheaters, in the same way we have the obfuscation tactics and all the rest of it in the speedrunning community, they've just got outright cheaters. People who will splice together runs and claim that they're a continuous run and things like that. So there's an element of sort of investigation. There's some snooping going on from the higher level people within each game. And, you know, they're all suspicious of each other, so they're like, right, let's have a close look at this claim to be world record. Here we go, there's an error. Now I'm going to tell everyone. You know what I mean? It's a bit like that. Very nerdy, but still very entertaining.
Oh, isn't that what we have here within this as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of overlaps. And I've used them as comparison. There's one particular Carl Jobs video where he's talking about a guy doing a Doom speedrun on these very tight ledges that frustrate everyone because you want to go fast, but to go fast on the ledges that are only a couple of pixels wide, you've got to go slow. That's frustrating. So it's annoying. But this particular speedrunner who describes his experience getting the world record on this particular level and said that at first he hated them, but over time he learnt to appreciate how to do it, and then with a bit more time he learnt to love doing it. The skill involved gave him a great deal of pleasure once he'd acquired it. And I compared the argument with Coriolis effect to that. Because at the start of the Coriolis argument, it's so convoluted and obscured that you can go off into the weeds almost immediately. And we'd have endless hour-long, 2-hour-long sometimes, entire show conversations about the Coriolis effect. And there was nothing achieved at the end of it. Very frustrating. Now, it's one of those where there's a few buzzwords that we're all listening out for, and you hear them and go, ah! And you can end the conversation in seconds now for a Coriolis argument, which is wonderful. But it's taken a lot of tedious work to get to that point. But yeah, a bit like the ledges in that particular speedrun. You know, if you're on a tightrope, it's going to be frustrating if you want to run.
Yeah, you're sort of a victim of your own success, really, because your arguments are too good, and I don't think they dare come in now because you make them look silly.
That's fine. That's all good. Yeah. So if we're obviously there's a subject matter that's going to get discussed, and the housekeeping questions are excellent for that because it keeps the shows on track. We've always got a common theme to each show. If nothing else, you'll get the housekeeping questions and the responses. If it ended up going off the rails completely into acoustic treatment in the main live show, which I'd hope didn't happen. Nevertheless, if there was absolutely no ballers who came through an entire month just for the sake of argument, it wouldn't fuss me in the slightest. We've got all of the arguments covered. For the most part, a surplus to requirements. There will be the oddball that comes in that puts the odd crossword in. But are the subjects still going to get picked apart and dissected? Absolutely. If it's got less convoluted nonsense being injected from the other side of the argument, does that matter? No. The fact that they're not coming because they can't argue against the points that are being discussed and still being discussed regardless of if they're here or not, does that matter? I don't think so. Now, obviously, there's going to be a breed of person that just says, no, I want to hear the screaming, I want to hear the argument, I want to hear the obfuscation, I want to hear them rumpusing, because that's entertaining. And I agree, and it will still continue to happen. There will still be people who just are so unnerved by what we do here that they are compelled to come and challenge us. That will not stop. So long as the paradigm remains as it is in the Western world, that will never change. But if there's a lull, less of the what would you call them, principal characters don't come in because they know that they just get smashed very quickly, so what? And if you want to hear them beg the question, there are plenty of platforms that just tolerate them coming in and going, right, I'm going to assume the Earth's a sphere. We're all okay with that? Excellent. Right, now we're all on the sphere. I'm going to make an example that only makes sense if I detail it based on my begging the question that we're on a sphere. We all cool? We're all cool. Right, now my example. Therefore, the Earth's a sphere. Everyone happy? And then the people on our side, the flat earth side of the argument, go, no, let's argue within the fallacy. And now if you want to see that, number one, you can watch it from show, 100 to maybe, 0 to maybe 100, 150. Well, knock yourself out. Go and watch the old shows where we fell victim to the begging the question fallacy every single show. Well, we've advanced beyond that and they don't want to come in as a result. Well, because they don't have an argument. We know the whole thing's a farce. The whole idea of being on a sphere is merely a philosophy, a way of conceptualizing the star's motions. It's not reality. It's not where we live. And, our appreciation of that means that there's very little to argue against here if you're a globehead. Doesn't mean they won't come in. They will. Believe me.
Yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Paul Hall, 10th Man, Bev Try Thinking, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome one and all.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Morning. Hey, good morning from Discord.
Good morning. Wow, that was enthusiastic. Excellent. Good start to the week. Any evidence of a physical, geometric, sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not even from a begging the question fallacy.
Absolutely not. It's been found to be horizontal.
Dip angle measurements.
As you hear, Bev, and we're on this particular question. So, bendizontal, meaning that the assumption of parallel lines not actually being parallel, but completely defying the Euclidean principles used to define those terms. Right? Bendizontal.
Yeah. The unmeasurable curvature, because it is imagined to be a straight line, as it is in reality. Yeah, they're struggling with it at the minute.
Yeah, they need straight lines to be bent, given that we're observing and utilising straight lines, and their claim is that we're on a curved Earth. Hey, Arwin.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hey. Any signs of axial rotation? Go, Globus, go.
Sorry, before we move on, I think I did hear a Glober that had something to say on your previous question.
Oh,
I could be incorrect about that, though.
I think I heard dip angle. I did hear that.
Yeah, I did hear that, yes. That's what I heard too.
Don't be scared.
Well, I'm not actually a Glober, but I think that I'm going to have to put their argument forth for them because they're not doing it very well.
Feel free. Go ahead.
Well, what their real rhetoric should be that curvature is a fourth dimensional aspect. So the dip angle within their paradigm should be an aspect of geometry, but within the third dimension, Earth should be flat.
What you're saying is when we measure it in 3 dimensions, the ones that are measurable, it's flat. But if you think about it in terms of a conceptual 4th dimension, then it's a sphere Earth. So philosophically speaking, in a conceptual medium, it's a globe. I suppose you can have that if you like, I don't mind. Sure. In the 4th dimension, woo, it's a globe. Yeah, if you like.
Yeah, that's where it is. That's where the curve is.
Kind of good. That's my flat globe concept. It's the land masses. No, seriously. That's my first show ever. It's land masses basically interconnecting as if the surface of it would geometrically be a globe, but technically it would all be flat. Would have definitely spatial nonlinearity and looping and all that. But yes, in that sense, it could be a flat globe.
Next time on A Contradiction in Terms, Arwin explains how we can have white-black.
No. No, it's not a geometrical globe. It's not geometrical globe. Can't be. It's just the way the land masses would interconnect would be the most easiest to interpret as if it were a geometrical globe, but it's not because it's technically all flat. That's what I was talking about.
Sure.
And then you could consider in the fourth dimension to visualize it all as a globe just to make it a little bit more easy on yourself. But it's not, though. Not literally, physically.
Okay. So can we get back to the really is level or what?
This might be the really is. Yeah. You don't know.
No, it's not. Fourth dimension? What? This isn't Star Trek.
Right.
No, Star Trek can't handle this shit.
Any more to add, John?
Yeah, there's a...
Go ahead.
The major problem is the initial claim as it begins is that we live in a physical and natural world where everything can be explained as physical or natural. The moment you invoke a fourth dimension, you're talking about spirituality at that point because it's never...
Okay. I mean, I would agree. You know, heliocentrism's a religion. And there are obviously some spiritual aspects to it, or the denial of them. It depends which way you want to look at it.
Right, that's a kind of like an ipso facto thing, you know. If you say that you don't believe anything, then you're kind of saying you know everything you know, which is...
Okay.
Yeah, you breaking up every now and then doesn't really help understanding what you're saying.
I know, I'm getting him. Makes sense.
He's coming in and out of the third and the fourth dimension. The breakup.
Don't do that.
Right, let's move on.
I'm trying to move it on, Arvin.
Any scientific evidence?
There's whatever.
Right, okay. Let's move
I'm
on
up for the fourth dimension concept a lot.
Concept really is level.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, but not in a time sense, though. No,
you can think that if you like.
Have you two finished with your infighting or what?
What?
No, I'm just saying hello.
No, 10th man is just being very punny again. That's all.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
It's over there, shining bright. Or wait, shining. Not an object, really.
Before you could argue the distance of the sun, you'd have to figure out the whole argument over the dimensional aspect of reality and whether fourth dimension.
No, you don't.
Here we go back again to the fourth dimension.
Yeah, you can consider, but you don't need to.
Before you can assert any evidence for the distance of the sun, you got to know what the shape of the world you're standing upon is.
What? Why? Wouldn't you actually want to figure out what the sun is?
Right. I think what John's doing is he's suggesting that because the globe heads say that we're going to assume a shape to the Earth and then adjust our angle measurements to the sun, then we must find out the shape because they assume a shape, right?
Exactly.
No, we don't. Arwin's right.
I don't disagree with him.
Just because they've got an assumption of an R value, bearing in mind that their starting premise is from flat, then insert R. Well, we don't have to do that. We don't have to beg the question that we've got a sphere Earth beneath our surface and then adjust our measurements to compensate for that presupposition. That's just not needed.
Well, maybe Arwen's right in the third dimension, but he's wrong in the fourth dimension.
That's yeah.
Well,
You don't know what
in
you're
the fourth-
talking about, but you might be right.
You
That
don't
still doesn't
understand
make any
10th.
sense to you, 10th. So
Don't understand 10th.
Within
It
the
makes total
fourth
sense for
dimension,
me. There
it's
was
the
a-
upside down.
Good morning, guys.
Hold on, Chocolate.
Yo,
Good
Choco.
morning, but John's got some very important globe nonsense to punt. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, within the fourth dimension, it's the upside down. Curved is straight. Time has physicality. Everything within the fourth dimension is the opposite of reality.
Coke is Pepsi.
no.
Amazing.
Let me just say from
But that's
personal
where they get-
experience, no.
That's where they
Well, in
get
the-
their religious fundamental thing about curves can be straight, because in the fourth dimension, curved is straight.
No. Just no.
Yeah, it is. Geodesics. Look it up. Anyway, yes, thank you for that beautifully concise nonsense, John.
Well, Arwen
Well,
doesn't
it
have my
takes a-
pedigree.
Wait, are you saying that in pseudo-Ramonian force space that's actually a thing that is said?
Yeah, look into
Well, all they're
geodesics.
doing, and
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, well, that's not my fourth dimension. That's pseudo-Ramonian force space. That's not a system that I'm willing to entertain for my own
Sorry,
constructions.
it wasn't heliocentrism versus Arwen.
Okay, it's just that when talking about the fourth dimension, I'm not going to automatically assume it's going to be pseudo-Ramonian force space based off fourth dimension.
Oh, our bad.
That's stupid.
Well, okay. I was going to say 99% of the Western world, but given that there's plenty of people on this panel that come here that deny Einsteinian because it doesn't have a force to keep gas here, you know, there's a good chunk of the Western world that do, though, that isn't there, Arwen, and you are but one man without causing offence.
How dare you?
oh, I can't wait till I get to that part. That's where it gets fun.
Okay. Do I need to ask about gravity? Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Yeah.
In the fourth
you're gonna love
dimension?
this-
Tenth, are you going to say that?
Oh, John's got some.
No,
John's
I grew
got
up
some
in
words on the
60s
subject.
with the fifth dimension.
Fifth dimension. I think you've just made that up.
Yeah, no, I did make it up. I grew
Outrageous.
up in the 60s with a band called the Fifth Dimension, and they had a song called "Up, Up and Away" in My Beautiful Balloon.
No, that's tolerable. But, you know, only Einstein can invent dimensions. You're not allowed.
Oh.
Egg.
Well, if Arwen
Well,
could do it,
I'm going to
if
do it
Arwen could
anyway.
if Arwen could have a heliocentric bee, why can't I have a fifth dimension bee?
Look, you're never
A
going to
what?
be an Arwen. Just accept that.
Hold
thanks.
on. My fourth
invent
dimensional
rebellious gas
conceptions are not
particles.
heliocentric in nature, 10th man. Don't insult me. Just because I can presuppose the heliocentric model does not mean that I am constructing it.
Look,
Thinking it's some viral
I heard
Arwen.
rebellious gas particles.
Arwen.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I say we invent rebellious gas particles. Or they invent them apparently because, you know, they have gas particles that decided to not act like gas and they're a second law of thermodynamics violation. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
Chocolate, they put on weight too. They put on some weight. Get the weight.
Yeah, they got to the Carmen line as like really attractive hippies with flowers on their cheeks and stuff. And then before long, they were eating cakes and putting on weight.
Can I finish with Arwen real quickly here? Yes, okay. Well, Arwen, the only thing I insult is my food, so don't worry about it. I won't insult you.
Your food?
I got an answer from the
I
fourth
was going to
dimension.
say, John, save me from this. John, go ahead.
Well, if you were going to ask someone about this that believed in the fourth dimension, they would probably say that a gravity well is warping space-time, and the inertial movement of the Earth through this fourth dimension is in an asymptotically flat universe is what is causing the appearance of gravity, because in the third dimension we could consider it a force even though it's really.
Do you want to try that all again without laughing? I mean, I can strap on
No,
the
I
Klingons
can't.
at the end for a joke if you want.
Wait, I think I get where he's going.
Okay, I'll try it again. All right, I'll try it again. Within an asymptotically flat universe, the inertial movement of the Earth through the fourth dimension would cause a gravity well in which air would be.
Oh, you've ruined it, Ryan.
I can't do it without laughing.
It's a struggle. Yeah, it needed some Klingons to make the story a bit more, palpable.
I've got something else about.
Well, there's another problem with.
Hold on one second, Paul. I will let you go. Go on, John.
The biggest problem with the Einsteinian explanation is you're still assigning a vector, and gas doesn't have a vector. So even if you had a cup filled with air within a vacuum, spinning it in a circle, you would still have gas moving in all directions. So it doesn't matter which way the vector you create, gas will still leave it.
Yeah, gas expands in all directions. Correct. No down, go boom, boom, single vector. Paul, can you pop yourself on mute? Thank you. Yeah, spot on. That's the crux of the argument we have here, right? Why is the gas here without a container? Oh, well, gas is being pulled down with gravity. Gravity's not a force. Well, we think of it as a force. Well, your force has got a single vector, and gas expands in all directions to fill the available volume it has to fill. It's natural law.
I got another reason why the gas particles didn't want to cross the Kármán line, because they age faster up there. That's why.
Ah, that's a good point. Those rebellious bra-burning particles did not want to age faster. But, as a result, they ended up sitting around eating cakes, gaining weight, making their way back down again. Going down, go boom, boom.
That's not part of the rhetoric.
We appreciate that.
It is now.
We appreciate that we've made that up ourselves. But it is true.
Well, now, let me explain it. So at ground level, time moves slower at your feet than it does at your head because you're in a gravity well. No, you said gravity well. So time slows down as you get closer to a mass, and it speeds up the further you get away from it. So I'm right. And that's why they didn't leave.
Well, no, there's a problem with that because they shouldn't be coming on here saying that they observe things to fall down. They should say that they observe the Earth rising up to things. That's what should be their argument. But it's silly, so they don't say it.
Well, they should say Earth's following its geodesic through space-time.
Correct.
Right, but this was all bollocks.
Well, if they were to listen to Brian Cox, Brian Cox describes it as it's not actually the apple falling down to the Earth, but the Earth rising up to meet the apple.
He just said that. That's what he just said.
Yeah. That makes sense.
No, it doesn't. This is all nonsense. Hold on, chocolate. What do you mean this makes sense? Does it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, how would the apple know the ground is in its future?
Dude.
Not sentient. Apples don't think.
It doesn't make any sense anyhow, because if the Earth would be moving, the entire Earth would notice. So.
Yeah, it's not sentient either. Go ahead, John.
The whole point of this is that their observed phenomenon that they're claiming is not actually happening. Nobody is observing the Earth rising up to meet shit.
Right. This isn't science, this is mathematics. This is merely abstractions, reified into existence by the fundamentalist religious zealots we encounter. It's just maths.
Yeah, but the same people who say that the Earth rising is sensible, or you can't sense it, are saying that it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator.
Well, they calculate it to be spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and they calculate it to be rising up to meet the apple. Meaningless abstractions. A way of describing something doesn't cause anything. That's why gravity is not a force.
Are you sure, Nathan? Because I could have sworn I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say that because they calculated how much fuel they need to get to the moon, therefore we know they went to the moon.
Well, they calculated how much fuel they would burn whilst travelling through Narnia. Or outer space, the second law of thermodynamics violation. Any evidence that you can have, the gas pressure. See these clouds here? They're high pressure gas. Any evidence that you can have that high pressure gas without the necessary antecedent of a container for the gas to press upon? Or to put it another way, is there any evidence that we could have this second law of thermodynamics violation with the gas not filling the space?
I already told you that an equation was put together and written down on a piece of paper. Therefore, that place we call Narnia actually exists. Thank you.
But what if second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth?
What, the law of nature? Yeah. Top 3. That's number 3. Any single viable...
So it was originally established on Earth, and then somebody much later in a debate is claiming, no, it doesn't apply to the Earth. So how was it established then, originally?
Way too many reifications of privations.
Yes, it was
Second law of
established.
thermodynamics violations.
It was established
So
on
if it
Earth.
doesn't
It was established on Earth based on what's happening. It's just a description of what happens always. That's all it is. Natural laws, not scientific, just descriptions of what's occurring. That's it. Now, if it wasn't always occurring, it would not be a law. I.e., the description wouldn't apply because it wouldn't always be occurring. Now, we do definitely have this law of nature. You can accurately describe the increase in entropy we observe always with the second law of thermodynamics. It's not simple, but it is definitely always applied. Oh, what do you say? Oh, atmosphere, this word we've invented to say that gas arbitrarily takes the shape of a sphere, that doesn't have the second law apply to it because that only exists in a mathematical reification of the heliocentric model. But in terms of whether or not it applies to Earth and nature, absolutely without question. If it didn't, it wouldn't be a law anymore.
I got one for that from the fourth dimension.
From the fourth dimension? Do we need to do the harp music?
No.
Go ahead, from the fourth dimension.
It's getting the fourth dementia.
Well, there's a response to it. It's silly, but I gotta.
Go for it. Go, John, go.
Like the minute that. Go. I'm sorry. The minute you say the fourth dimension, you're violating physicality from the beginning. So your whole argument that you stated that we live in a physical natural world is obsolete at that moment. But they're saying that reality itself is bending to contain the gas particles when they claim a.
Come on, John. We've seen light go around the sun or around other objects. We've seen this thing called atmospheric or gravitational lensing. We've seen that. Come on, John. It's physical.
What are you eating there, Paul?
10th man dishes, ladies and gentlemen.
Bro.
Subscribe today.
Yeah.
10th
Hey,
man
all I
dishes.
know is John said a minute. So he's got time in the fourth dimension because he said a minute.
So, are we done here? Can I go back to reality with the harp music, or what? Are we still in the fourth dimension? Are we going to argue about this indefinitely?
Well, actually, I think
Well,
John
that's
makes a great baller in the absence of ballers for the last few weeks.
He's a terrible baller. He disclaimed that his nonsense was fourth dimensional and conceptual before he gave his example. We don't normally get that from ballers, do we? That's not typical,
That's why
is
he
it?
makes a great baller.
He doesn't. He makes a terrible baller, but great for a devil's advocate.
All right, I'll stop laughing at him, and I will try on the next ones.
You're doing beautifully, mate. Don't take my
No,
words
keep-
to
keep
mean anything.
laughing.
Keep it up. It's all good. So let's move on with housekeeping, though. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No way.
They ain't got shit.
They don't know the meaning of the word.
Go on, Globus.
They wouldn't be able to. I said they don't know the meaning of the word hypothesis. They wouldn't be able to formulate one if they had one. You know, especially in those disciplines. And you know, these are coming from the people that say, you know, I was in a Gem Panda server yesterday, and they were saying science doesn't prove things. You know, so people like this, you know, will say things like that to hold on to their beliefs in fairy tales, and you know, that's what I was telling them. You guys will say stupid crap like that just to hold on to your fantastical ideas about, You know, and the majority of them are unfortunately, you know, they're not to put anyone down that's into Star Trek, but they're all fans of these fantastical, you know, shows because they believe that, you know, that's a possibility one day for them. You know, they're fans of, you know, movies like The Martian, for example, because they see themselves one day possibly being there, you know, living out that fantasy. So of course they're going to say things like science doesn't prove things because, like I said, they want to hold on.
Science does prove things. It's nonsense.
Hold
they
on.
only.
I actually have something.
Go ahead.
Theories are not can only be disproven. Now, hypotheses hold true, but theories are only conceptualizations based on hypotheses.
The other way around. So a hypothesis is a supposition yet to be tested. So the assumption of cause after observing effect. Also, if a scientific hypothesis is being applied, which we are contextualizing this scientifically, so it is, there'll also be the null. So your assumed cause doesn't cause the effect. That's your null hypothesis. And your alternative is your assumed cause does cause it. Now, a hypothesis isn't an explanation for anything. They just mistake their just so story, their supposition, described as though it's explaining something, and then they move on to say that theories, which are based on validated experimentation, if they're scientific theories, not a colloquial theory, my theory about how this works is blah, 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 bullshit. Well, a scientific theory is the result of validated scientific experimentation based on hypotheses. Suppositions? So you've got a supposition, you test it, you prove it, then you've got a proven cause of an effect. You can then formulate a theory based on validated cause of effect. So what they say is arse about face, completely the wrong way around. Because when they say science doesn't prove things, what they mean is all they have is pseudoscience just so stories, which they've probably called hypotheses. And they're not.
But can't you do the method backwards?
What, start with validated theory? No, because you'd have to have experimentation to get to the theory stage in the first place, so no.
No, couldn't you start out with theories and then validate your theories as you go? Wouldn't that be a way to do it?
Well, no, because a theory, when you're describing it in those terms, is a colloquial theory. You've got an idea about how something works. You know, Arwin's got a lot of colloquial theories, right, Arwin?
Yes, yeah, and a little more than that.
No, just colloquial theories. But nevertheless, Arwin's got colloquial theories. Scientific theories, however, are based on systematic experimentation, validating cause, after formulating valid hypothesis with alternative and null, after having a supposition for your cause of an effect that you observed. That's how you get to a scientific theory.
I do have a hypothesis, by the way, but I haven't tested it yet. So I have a setup. I just remember about the moonlight.
That's what I said. It's just a supposition.
Well, that that light itself not may be cold, but that the phenomena of what we've so far interpreted as cold of the light may be something else. Sorry, this is not a formulation in hypothesis format yet. Just to clarify what it's about the effect of the light. It might cause temperature to transit more quickly instead of introducing some virtual cold energy. And yeah, the setup is basically controlling the room and its temperature very significantly in order to establish what the moonlight does in there. And I know that once it's tested, I'm sure it could be absolutely scientific.
It couldn't.
I haven't gone to that point yet.
You formulate that hypothesis while I shout out Cleary. Shout out to Cleary for the super chat. He says, imagine a red Trump hat for globeheads. Quote, make shit up again.
Okay, well, this is the weakest point of my argument, but what if they say that since cosmology, astronomy, and all those are just observation based, would they then have grounds to say that they come up with laws, not theories?
No. Natural law.
You know, they're not entering the scientific method.
Right. So what? You want them to just be able to lay down the law of what things are with just so stories? Absolutely not. If they're using explanations and descriptions of cause and effect relationships, and then claiming validity, usually with the vernacular of science. So absolutely not. No, these people aren't going to lay down natural law. Natural law just is a description of how things are. So if you want to say, well, they've got a pattern down, well, you can call that law if you like, if the pattern's continually doing that. But so what? They're just describing a pattern. But that's not what they do. What they actually do is look at a light in the sky and say, you know what that is? Right there. That's a burning ball of gas, that is, in a vacuum. Why? Well, because I made it myself. Look at these mathematical equations from Einstein.
1 2 1 2 check. Is my microphone clear, loud, and coming through?
It is.
Oh, that's a beautiful entrance again, Spurs.
Excellent.
Nathan, we're
entrance.
in trouble.
Check,
we're
check.
in trouble.
1 2.
We're in trouble, Nathan.
What's
we're
up,
in big
Spurs?
trouble. Remember when we went
The guy,
to
Spurs, the guy's right in the middle of a conversation. Check 1 2, check 1 2.
But this is urgent now, and Nathan knows when I bring
Urgent. All right,
the
sorry,
news,
John.
urgent.
This is urgent.
All right,
Go
you
on,
can carry
Spurs.
on now, but we're in trouble, Nathan. Big trouble.
No, we're not.
I've done proved the globe. You're exactly right. You're in trouble.
No, we're not. Spurs is about to have a conversation with me that he's had with Anthony Riley. Someone's challenging some old shite from the Isle of Man discussion. So
We're in big trouble, Nathan. Big trouble.
Oh, we're
Okay,
on the
Kimo.
old hotness.
We'll get there.
The old
We'll
and
get there.
busted.
All right, we'll get
I'm gonna-
there. Carry on.
There's only a few more housekeeping questions, but literally we were in the middle of something. Something
Okay,
about
carry on.
fourth dimensions or some other bollocks.
Yeah, I've done proved the globe with the fourth dimension. So, yeah.
Word up, John.
Just need to tell us we don't understand and you'll have done your job really well as a glober. Go ahead.
I was getting ready to say that.
Knock yourself out.
You don't understand.
I'm so sorry. If only I was just that little bit sharper. I just don't understand. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, it's all right. You know, us real scientists making things, observations and stuff.
Rakia Life says, what if the smart globers are right? Nah.
What if they're right about not seeing their geometric horizon?
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Black swan.
That would be a dip angle measurement. Hold on, I can do this one without laughing. That would be a dip angle measurement within the third dimension, which would give an aspect of geometry.
Excellent. Dip angle measurement to what now? What are we measuring to with that dip angle measurement exactly?
An apparent position where the sky meets the ground.
An apparent position, yeah, that's a horizon. So what kind of horizon is it that we're going to be measuring today?
Is that a physical location?
Perfect chocolate.
Oh no! That's the reification that is the curve calculator is just a mathematical concept that is pulled from the fourth dimension. The dip angle actually is dependent upon our world being completely physical and natural, so that dip angle is shit. I can't.
Did anybody else notice him slipping something had come from a mathematical fourth dimension and that it was somehow being transposed onto this third dimension? You were really specific about this being three-dimensional, but I definitely had some fourth dimensionality nonsense about maths coming into there. Did I mishear?
Particles move in geodesics.
That was excellent word salad.
As you can tell in the double slit experiment, the patterns formed on the wall plate shows that particles are moving in curved lines.
Throw in some Coriolis as well.
curved.
Really mix the word salad. Throw in some Coriolis just for good measure.
Okay. I don't even know how to argue Coriolis with this though. Oh, okay. Well, no, I can't argue Coriolis. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
No, it's missing shoe and unicorn.
Yeah, you need to throw in some other nonsense. Shoe will do. Now we're totally sidetracked from where you were getting pummeled, John. That was a totally successful obfuscation. You've done really well.
Sorry to interrupt, but somebody in Discord, Elijah's asking for an unmute. Possible.
Elijah. Oh yeah, my bad. Hey,
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, that happens only all the time. Can someone give me some type of mod capability over here? I can just unmute myself, that's all.
I wish I could. It's not my server. I'm sorry, Elijah, to keep you on mute. We were just chatting. I'm sorry. I'll just have a look down the list. See if I've missed anyone else.
Oh, I mean, I think I'm winning because you all don't understand. So
I think you're winning too. I think that's perfect. Man, he's been around a while. That was the perfect moment to declare victory. I would agree.
Well, the best thing I can do is point out how I'm right.
Oh, you're getting rumpus by Paul. Paul's rumpusing your clearly and well-deserved victory. Tell him off.
Wait a minute, didn't Elijah come in to talk and everybody overtalked him?
Yes.
Only all the time.
Go on, Elijah. Did you have something to add?
Start out complaining that.
What's up? What's up, Eli?
I don't have much to say today other than I put a soundbite of you and what's his face, Ed Masto, in a freestyle that I made after Chocolate Bars. I think that's his rap name, right? Chocolate Bars dropped that fire the other day, so I followed it up. And there's a soundbite of you and Ed Masto in there, so thought you'd enjoy that.
The Bars is the name of the track, brother. My name is so chocolate. Say it.
He's really good.
I actually came here for John and Quantum Eraser and his scientific method, you guys.
Yes.
Listen, we're not talking about Quantum Eraser. We're talking about chocolate and Eli right now, dropping bars.
I think it's only fair that we do apologise. John's brought up a good point, though. So I'm really sorry that we apply the Quantum Eraser scientific method here. I can only apologise on behalf of science everywhere. I'm so sorry, John.
Yeah, I get accused of that all the time. Apparently, I apply that method all the time. John's method. It's only exclusive to him, guys.
Oh, that's John's method.
Yep.
Just because it proves the cause of effect doesn't make it science.
Well, that's a wide reach because, that's a wide reach because, everywhere I go, if I utter anything correct, anything that actually has to do with the scientific method, oh, you're just parroting John. Oh, that's a wide reach of good information there, if you ask me.
Well, apparently...
I have consolidated.
Sorry, carry on.
I have consolidated all the ballers' knowledge within a pretty good joke. So take that. Prove the ball. I win.
Any evidence?
What ball?
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
That's your cue, John.
No gobstopper here.
No, that's indefensible. That one's just silly.
You pass on that one?
Just say P waves and S waves.
Everybody passes on that one.
Paul's helping him. Go ahead, Paul.
Just say P waves and S waves. Then you're done. You're good.
You're still eating?
Well,
Paul?
see, that would be a problem because I've already claimed the fourth dimension is where straight lines are curved. If I say that P waves prove a curved Earth, then I'm claiming that the Earth is flat.
Hold up. You're
Paul,
worried about doublespeak? No.
Paul,
that's not how that goes in the baller world.
Paul gave you very specific instructions. He's going to repeat them, and you're going to follow them verbatim if you want to win here. Can you give me the instructions again, Paul? Follow them verbatim. Do you understand, John? Go ahead, Paul.
Just say P waves and S waves, and you're done. You're good. You're all good.
Try.
Okay. P waves and S waves.
Oh, my God. Oh,
damn it.
Damn you. Damn.
You've got us.
You got us. You bugger. No explanation needed. Just say those.
Squiggly lines prove a ball.
Don't expand on it. God, Paul, do you want to tell him again?
That was the cowbell. He brought cowbell.
Just say P waves and S waves. That's all. That's it. That's all you got to say. Just it.
Never give a justification. Never give a further explanation. You just spew out your baseless assertion with the most minimalistic information needed. So it's just, quote, P waves and S waves, end quote. And that's it. You don't need anything else. That's all you need to do.
Or you could formulate it instead of from the consequent and just say,
Toasters
if Earth is a ball,
no, he's doing it better.
P waves and S waves.
He's doing it even better. Even better if you can do it through someone else, like I'm going to do to Chocolate. P waves and S waves while someone else is talking, and then later on say that you've already proved it, as you've said it through someone. That's much better.
See.
That was the whole idea with Elijah.
Yeah, what was that?
But what if it was a baller that was actually innocent and isn't like all rumpusy and all that? There should be some of them around somewhere. They probably haven't bumped into us yet. But
yeah, I think it's trained into them. It's trained into them.
Yeah, but Arwen, that would mean that once the argument is shown to be a fallacy, that they would concede. How many ballers have conceded who were innocent?
2. There's been 2. 2.
In how long of a time?
5 years.
All right.
Hold on a second. We know the Earth is a sphere, so if we use spherical logic and our argument's void, it doesn't mean we're wrong.
That was beautiful. Just immediately demand we beg the question, because we know Earth's a sphere. So cool, we're all cool in the gang, right? Everybody understands that we are already on a sphere before anything is further said by this gentleman. We're all cool with that? Go ahead, John.
I told you, I just proved the sphere. Y'all just ain't accepting it.
Gone quiet. You've gone all quiet.
It's going to a tunnel.
So
no, that's
so should I go to Jose's channel and brag about it now?
Yep,
no one wants to say fourth dimension. I'm going to get it in over the top of you all.
Well, go to Jose's while he's triggered. He's been a little triggered baby last couple of days.
Which Jose?
JG Wentworth.
JG what? Wentworth.
Oh dear, I timed him out in my chat.
JG Wentworth.
Hold on. Is that a racist slur?
No,
it's a commercial here.
It's a commercial.
Funny enough, he left the live stream I was on yesterday screaming racism. And I was like, bro, every time a guy tells me that I'm talking too loud, I feel like that's racist, but I don't say anything. Chill out, bro. Chill out.
I'm pretty sure you've got black friends, have you not? Which means you're exonerated from any racist charge ever.
Yep.
Did Jose not know that?
I mean, well, he himself felt that he was like racism was brought on him because somebody said something in Spanish. I can't even remember what it was. But how's
could it have been
someone who's not Spanish speaks Spanish? That makes it racist? I don't get it.
I think El Boricua told him he was a disgrace to Puerto Ricans. And that's coming from another Puerto Rican, so that's his bad.
What did he do, regardless of his disgrace on his nation? What exactly has happened that's caused people to cast such aspersions on such a humble gentleman as Jose?
He's a troll.
He's like, he said, I'm tired of the racism. I'm leaving. Goodbye. You know how he does.
Hey, poison in the well. I forgot to do that. Can I do that right quick?
Do what right quick?
I need to poison the well right quick. Just so you guys know, Nathan is actually a baller. He's just doing this for money.
That's outrageous. Smash the super chat.
And plus to deceive all girls.
I was waiting for that.
Well, can we get a bit serious now? I mean, this guy obviously is not a real globe earther. This is obviously his way of dealing with
Wait a
losing.
minute. This is serious.
Yes, this is indeed serious. Smash thy super chat.
Yeah. So obviously there was a presupposition and that the Earth was 3959, and obviously we went to go. There was a certain lighthouse in a certain place in a certain position, and we were told if you're in a certain location at a certain time, we won't see this lighthouse. Obviously, we went down there to try and verify, try to validate if we could see this lighthouse or not. Now, it turns out Ruif put up a challenge for Anthony. I don't know if you're aware of that, or if anyone's aware of this. So, Ruif had the idea that if the Earth is what they say it is, then if they go to a certain location, then they wouldn't see the lighthouse, because there was a little bit of a mix-up between pointing out which was the lighthouse, which was the building, and so on and so forth. So, is anyone up to speed with that? Do I have to go over the whole entire thing?
Please don't. Just get to your point.
Well, it turns out the lighthouse is in the place where the predicted location, because this is how you would do science in the heliocentric model world. You would have your hypothesis. You would predict that if the Earth is what we say it is, then we should see or shouldn't see this much.
That's not a hypothesis.
So
that's not a hypothesis. That's not viable.
It's incorrect anyway.
Well, number one, if Earth a sphere, so you're telling me that the variable is going to be Earth a sphere. How are you going to vary that?
What the
if Earth a sphere, or if I beg questions of Earth curve mathematics with geometric horizons, then I will see this result. Well, how are you going to vary and manipulate your independent variable of if Earth a sphere based on begging the question Earth curve calculations? How are you going to vary and manipulate that as an independent variable? You can't. This isn't a viable hypothesis. This is nonsense.
No, because if the Earth is what we say it is, then we should be able to see the object at this distance, and then we shouldn't be able to see it at this distance because of the Earth curve.
But it's not a hypothesis.
Hang on,
that's what it's
Spurs.
saying.
They have refraction. So why are they saying? Why are you buying it when they play the other side with the black swan and say refraction?
No, you just bear with me and Spurs for a minute. We'll get there. This will become clear. So we're in trouble,
the
Spurs.
lighthouse where we were at 17 feet, they said that we couldn't see the lighthouse from that elevation. If you go higher elevation, you should be able to see the lighthouse. And their predictions are right?
What they're predictions that are based on having a physical geometric sphere Earth horizon obscuring a certain amount of the Isle of Man to reveal or what's the word they use? Obstruct a lighthouse in the distance. That is what you're suggesting. So if we beg the question like we did back in 2015, no, Spurs, we're so beyond this argument. Exactly the same as I said to Anthony. I mean, it's nice to reminisce about lighthouses when we were into this begging the question, perspective hijacking, proof of nothing Earth curve calculator. However, it's based on geometry that requires an R value giving them a geometric horizon, a sphere edge that's now apparently concealing this lighthouse, Spurs?
Yeah, so the lighthouse...
Not yet, but we've debunked that. They don't have an R value anymore for this maths, for their if statement in this scientific hypothesis that it's not.
Well, they kind of do now because of Ruif. Ruif has now predicted how much you should or shouldn't see. Did you see his video to Anthony?
No need to. His predictions based on a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculator with a requirement for an R value that we have debunked with the Black Swan. Their model is untenable, so for him to just decide to stroll on back into town and assert that he can beg the question with an Earth curve calculator because Anthony's been dancing to his tune taking photographs for him. No, you're going to need an R value for that assertion. Still, that's not suddenly being forgotten about. Black Swan.
Well, I mean, they say, again, it's what they say. They have an R value because they've calculated the distance to the Sun, to Venus, to the Moon.
No, they haven't.
The angle. The angle.
They've assumed R for all of that. No.
Didn't they need the R value first?
Correct.
Calculate all that crap?
Sorry, Spurs, just let Chocolate repeat that. Go ahead, Chocolate, can you just repeat that?
I was gonna say, didn't they need the R value first to calculate all of that other stuff?
Yes, they
How
did.
is it we know they have one because they calculated the sun and all of that crap?
No, they just utilised it for
You know
that
what I mean?
crap. They just utilised the R value for that. They need R for those things, Spurs. It doesn't prove R.
If you want to beg the question of a sphere to begin with, then any horizon that you see would have to be a sphere edge horizon.
Correct.
Is a horizon a horizon if you can't see it?
Yeah. What are you going to be calculating, Spurs? What are you going to be calculating is how much the sphere edge is blocking this lighthouse, right?
Yeah, but we do.
Yeah, but why'd you keep saying yeah, but?
Chocolate knows this. Because
Why is it always
Chocolate
yeah,
knows
but?
that this is a refraction of a different character.
No, they've got
we've got to take
terrestrial
that
refraction,
into account.
Spurs. Their geometric refraction is what it is. 7/6R, or any manipulation thereof. Still needs R, though, doesn't it?
Okay. And again, the observations, what Ruif has challenged Anthony to demonstrate that the lighthouse is where it should be with their predictions. How do you get around that?
Chemo, why is it that you incessantly entertain their bullshit? Is it out of boredom? Because when I don't entertain their bullshit, I get muted straight away. But when you entertain their bullshit, the shows go on for hours and fucking hours.
Because we're the
Pardon my
ones that are
swearing.
doing, we're the ones that are actually going out there.
No.
What are you talking about?
But
We go out
you
there.
entertain their fantasies. You have to cut it off at the head, so you don't need to. But you do it because you do it out of entertainment. You know, that's why you have your shows. But why is that the only reason you do it?
We'll find out in a moment after I shout out Al Junkie. So, big stick proves globe? Question mark. Now that's fallacious or fallious. See? Question mark. I hope I've read that correctly, Al Junkie. Thank you for the super chat.
Stick disproves.
I'm trying to say that's a phallus.
The shadow.
Phallus.
Sticks disprove globe because the shadows don't process the correct way if the Earth was rotated. So, chew on that one, guys.
So back to Spurs. The question you're have put to you by Globus Trollins is, why do you allow them to beg the question and then operate within the fallacy? That's what you're being asked.
Because, it's very simple. To satisfy their hypothesis, you have to falsify their hypothesis. So as we spoke about before, you have to kind of walk with them in their land.
We covered this, though, didn't we? So to walk with them, okay, but it's not a hypothesis.
No, but let's say, for example, Ruif. Good example. Now, I know you probably don't like, but this is why I like this, because Ruif is saying, if we could show, I know you're not going to like this, but if we can show the lighthouse in a position where he feels it could never ever be seen, and Miles Davis, they will become flat Earth. So, you know, for everybody, it takes different aspects of reality to convince them that the Earth is not a globe.
I
right?
see.
I
see. So there's an aspect of reward for a flat Earth evangelist. Me, I couldn't give two shits if Ruhif's a flat earther or not. Do I care? No. But you do, don't you, Spurs?
Yeah, because these people are living a lie. Who wants to see people live a lie, right?
Well,
it's not my responsibility. That's not my responsibility, though, is it? I do what I do here. But is it my responsibility to make them see the truth, as you are trying to do?
Nathan, they're your brother. Mankind, you're supposed to look out for one another. See?
I know.
No, some brothers give the other brother a nuggie. It doesn't always work like that. But Chemo, if you want to really
need more love in the flat Earth.
Hold on.
You know,
no, I'm giving the love.
I didn't hear it.
Quantum and Nathan is giving the nuggies. I'm giving the love. Not everyone needs to give it.
They need hope, Nathan.
Chemo, can you help me with something else? In Syria, it's in war. Can you help them there, please?
I didn't
false. Nah, not having that. False equivalence. Globus Trollins, did you get a satisfactory answer out of Chemo? If not, feel free to follow up with whatever you like.
Not exactly, but I don't think I will. Just another thing that I wanted to address while we're here is Chemo. When it comes to the scientific method, for example, do you know it or do you not? Because when I was walking through all those globers, walking through the scientific method step by step, explaining where it is applied, what the purpose of the scientific method is, you said that I was outsmarted by them. So you're here talking about, looking after your flat Earth brethren, as you call them, whatever. But there you were basically saying that this guy had outsmarted me when I had schooled them on the scientific method. They were there claiming that there were several methods. Actually, their words were there is more than one method. While they're talking about singular method, they're saying that there's more than one. They make no sense. But yet you still back them up.
Yeah, because you were part of a new show called "Are You Smarter Than a Flat Earther," which is on Under No Pressure. You can check that out daily. So the idea was that you were challenging a globe earther. So I was kind of pressing you both to trying to outsmart each other. Because the globe earthers are under the impression that, flat earthers are always trying to corner us and catch us out and trap us. And, this seems to kind of put them on a back step. So I think if the idea is out there, look, you're trying to outsmart the flat earther, you're trying to trap them, basically, and outsmart them, then there's no, hiding. It's completely transparent. So I was trying to push you, saying, look, come on, Globus, you're not explaining it well. Explain to him why the scientific method should be and is the only way. I mean, obviously you were outlining it, yeah, fine. But then Paul was coming back with, there are many methods. Here are my citations. Here, this is why. So again, of course,
he had no citations. Sorry, you can't claim that. You can't misrepresent me like that because he had no citations. He had just paragraphs that he had posted on the chat.
Right. Of course,
that was all. That paragraphs of nonsense.
Right.
By nothing.
Precisely. So the challenge,
his own ramblings, for all we know.
So the
more
challenge
than likely it worked because it was backing up his religion.
Sure. So the challenge. Okay, go on.
No, Karen.
Yeah. So the idea is that you're supposed to push him now and say, look, the scientific method is, this is how I understand it. It's from this university. This professor says this is a citation, and so you were going to just show him how and why you know what you know, not just say, I'm parroting somebody else that I've seen on YouTube. You want to go in depth and explain.
I wasn't doing that. I explained the logic behind it. I did it. It's all there. It's all recorded. So I didn't just do that. I didn't just parrot anything because that's what they say. So you're going off their rhetoric. They're always complaining that I'm parroting QE or parroting Nathan. It's not like that, friend. It's not like that at all. I walked through it. I schooled them on it. I told them why it is required, what it does, the whole thing. So there was nothing else for me to explain. They were the one with the outrageous claims of several methods. So I was pressing them for their citations, which they didn't provide, which I knew was going to happen. But then there you are saying that I was outsmarted by them. What are you on about? How are you helping the cause if you're acting like that? If it's pure entertainment value, then just say it. You're here just pure entertainment value. That's all you're here for.
Okay,
it's okay.
So the idea again was just to try to outsmart your opponent.
Timo, can I ask one question only?
Yeah, because I've got to go as well. So yeah, I'll be back.
Only short question. For example, you are how old are
you? It's not about me, but go on.
It doesn't matter. Nearly 40, nearly 30, something like
that. Okay, it's not about me, but go on.
Okay, let's say that you're 14 now. You're 14 and I'm asking you how many horizons we have, and you say, one, and I will tell you, no, we have two. What you will tell me? Go in the past. You are 14 years old guy.
What do you mean? What will we tell you? You look outside your window, and unless it's obstructed, you see one horizon.
Let's go in the past. Let's go 20 years in the past.
As a child, if you ask them what is the horizon, and they can pretty much point it out to you, even as a 4-year-old. It's not that hard.
Yeah, but I will ask him how many horizons we have, and he will tell me for sure.
I will tell you there's multiple horizons. Again, unless that child has been indoctrinated.
Right on. And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Oh fuck! I'm retarded. I don't know. I'm not so clever. I was so stupid these years. I didn't know how many horizons we have.
right.
That making me
Well, I was
really
gonna tell.
retarded. You know.
I was gonna tell Spurs that you know, if someone is gonna tell you that it's refraction and the horizon is already 10 times too far, then I would point him to the next observation by the same guy who did the first black swan. Now he's looking at a platform that's 19 miles away, a foot and a half off the ground. I mean, if at that point a globe is going to say, yeah, still refraction, I can't help you. I'm not even going to waste my time continuing to talk to you.
Word.
When you debate, for example, Biruni, okay, Biruni and what? Whoever repeated his method after him? 1,000 years?
No, we do not see the geometric horizon. He's the sort of physicalization, or whatever the word is, the making concrete of the abstraction. So he is the part of the story that takes this mathematical idea of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon and says that he's actually seeing it, looking at it, and measuring it. You know, so he's the only point where they're taking this, we cannot see the geometric horizon. Well, Alberini did, didn't he? Oh, well, he was within 5%. And so you go around in circles with him asserting that he's measuring something that doesn't exist yet, but ultimately is based on something that exists in their maths and can't be measured. So Alberini's a great example, because they're telling us you can't see it, you can't measure it, it only exists in maths. Yet Alberini is claimed to have measured it. So how'd you get around that one, fundies? Well, you don't, because you don't have a geometric horizon but require one, and it's part of your base story with Alberini.
He did that during the summer, during the winter. It was clouds, it was storm, it was fog. What was when Biruni did that?
Close enough. It's close enough.
Yes.
That's another good answer. Yes.
I want to comment on Chemo. Is Chemo still here?
He is, but he's gone a bit quiet.
All right. Well, here's my take on Chemo. It's obvious Chemo's asking open-ended questions because he wants to offer therapy. So he's got to have them tell us how they felt, who their, like background information. This is why it goes forever, because therapists get paid per hour, right? So Chemo is doing his undergrad study here with the ballers. He's going to be a therapist one day.
It's funny you say that, because I was thinking he's gonna have a good future career in like nursing home, healthcare for these old ballers. Because that's what he sounds like he's doing, man.
I could just see Chemo in a few years. Back in the day, of course, he's older now, so Chemo would say, back in the day when I took on your predecessors, this is how it went.
Different strokes for different folks. Chemo does it differently. And it was the same with Anthony Riley. I used to go nuts at him on an almost daily basis because he would entertain their begging the question fallacy. And it's like, you got to. It's the only way they'll let you argue with them. It's like, no, because if you don't, you've won instantly, because they're using fallacy. But they insist that you use their fallacy when you argue with them. Otherwise, they won't play. No, unless you automatically assume that which I'm trying to prove, therefore I win immediately, I'm not going to play.
Well, that's what people don't see right off the bat. That was a good scenario you just said there, because if you allowed them to beg the question, they already won. So why are you letting them win?
Yeah, and I can see the frustration from someone like Globus Trollins when they're like, why are you allowing them to just automatically win by assuming their outcome? Because it doesn't matter what you argue about within that fallacy, the end result is they've already assumed the thing they're trying to prove. Doesn't matter whether they're arguing against Coriolis effect and utilising the retention of angular velocity, or arguing against having a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. So long as they've assumed that the Earth's a sphere at the beginning of their example, they're always going to be proving that which they've already assumed. So they can just talk their way around why, well, we don't need a physical geometric sphere edge horizon if we're standing on a sphere. We've got refraction at the rate of the sphere. Because I've assumed the sphere already. We're already winning. Hooray! Well, if you're allowing them to do that, you're just allowing them to win the moment you enter the ring with them.
Yeah, if you watch some of these TV shows with the judge in front and the two, people arguing some small claims against each other, the judge would normally say, "Do you have any proof?" No. Well, what do you have? Well, my side of the story. I'm not interested in your side of the story because the opposite view has their side of the story. Then goes to the opposite person. Do you have any proof? Yes, I have a proof. I have a contract she signed, and it said in there you got to pay by the 3rd of each month, or there'll be a 10% penalty every 10 days accumulating. Oh, can I see that? Okay, the judge goes with the proof.
Well, I can tell you, based on what I've seen from Chemo's supposed therapy of the Globers, it's not working. If anything, it's reinforcing their fantasies. Because they treat him as a sort of punching bag, because he presents nothing really. Nothing of substance a lot of the time. Sometimes he does, not all the time. I don't want to slay him off too much, but sometimes he does. But a lot of the times, like I said, he just entertains and it just drags on and on and on. And they gain confidence because sometimes he'll come with things that easily destroyed, And when you're arguing within the fantasy, you leave yourself open up to your own beliefs and you getting, owned by your own stupidity. So, like I said, from what I've experienced, it's not working. And the best way is to learn and comprehend the arguments that are on this show, because it saves you countless hours of pointless arguing. And then you can just, if you get muted, that's it. You've won. You know that if that's what they've resorted to, censoring you, then that's it. That's their argument. Their argument is shut up. Essentially.
Pretty much.
Well, I try to trigger and lure the globe earthers in with speculation. Like, I'll go wild style. But each speculation I have ties back into an argument that they can't refute in under 60 seconds. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, so you have a style that works.
Space fishing.
Whereas, sorry?
Space fishing. Right? Fishing for dollars.
The thing is, you comprehend the arguments. Like I said, Chemo is here, so he can defend himself if he likes. I was challenging him on whether he knows the scientific method or not. He went quiet because, like I said, he claims that the Globers were schooling me yesterday on the scientific method. And, that's where I claim that, does he know really what he's talking about with these guys? Is it actually getting anywhere? Like I said, to me, it's not. It's actually reinforcing their beliefs.
Well, when I first got into this thing and I started engaging with all of you guys, it was like, I was in that same boat, wanting to help. But if Chemo is not where I'm at now, because I think I'm helping the most, and I'm really doing it not with some of the more complex arguments. I'm doing it with observations that I'm doing myself. And it's like, if you've come this far and you don't know how to do, well, I don't want to say he doesn't. I don't know. I don't really follow his show. I haven't known about it. I would like to check it out. But if he's still at the point that I saw him last, which is in Jim Pandas, talking to them for hours and hours about essentially nothing, then I would begrudgingly agree, because Chemo's he's my guy. I don't mean to slight him like this, but You gotta speak up for yourself, man.
Yeah. Other than
Well, how do you guys think Chemo did with Tony Purcell when he held him on the scientific method? What do you say about that?
none of them heard you because we're in the transitional period.
Oh, that was perfect timing, I guess.
Yeah, hold on. Say that again, 10th man, because no one actually heard you say it.
I said, how do you feel about Tony Purcell when Chemo held him to the scientific method on that one show that he aired? Do you think he knew the scientific method then, and did he put Tony Purcell to the task?
Oh, I think he did.
Yeah, it's obvious
Yeah, he
he did.
wrote
So he
that
does
one.
know it. He does know it.
Yeah, I mean, we are talking about Spurs, and we just had this whole conversation about allowing them to beg the question. And sometimes people will, and they do. Spurs will allow them to beg the question. Sometimes Tony will allow them to, or Riley will allow them to beg the question. I mean, everyone has their own technique. You know, not everybody goes about it the same way. So I don't know.
It's the only way to engage with them. You're right, Chocolate.
Yeah, and if
Oh,
that's
no,
how
no.
you feel, you want to engage with them, sometimes you have to kind of just go into their Narnia just to engage with them a little bit, if that's what you want. But if it's going to be a clear-cut debate and you're just going to cut them off when as soon as they commit some type of a fallacy or something, well then that's the way you go. I guess it just depends on what you like, how you feel that day, what your strong suits are, you know? It all depends, man. Different strokes for different folks.
Yep. In some channels, in some conversations, they won't even let you engage unless you let them beg the question. I know Nathan is totally against that.
But notice, Chocolate says we allow them because we can shut them down at any moment and say, well, that's not in nature. We don't see that anywhere that you can.
And I know you could.
hypothesize.
That's why I said what I said, brother.
Exactly. So that's what people should be not under the illusion that just because we allow, that shows the power of the flat earthers. Because if we don't allow them, they don't get a conversation. We get what we want, and we get to show that they don't know what they're talking about. But if we allow them to play and talk about and preach a little bit, then yeah, we can explore. It's just a different way. We, like you say, we can shut that down at any moment. But yeah, it's just another way. It's just another way.
Ask you a question, Spurs.
A flat argument, and then sorry, and then find they're
go.
invalid. That's the way you. That's the way you engage.
Rumpus, you're already mad choppy and crappy.
Ask you a quick question, Spurs.
Fix your mic.
Up, Rumpus.
Spurs, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
If it was you're a Christian, I'll just preface that by clarifying that for the audience. You're a Christian, right?
Yeah, follow Jesus Christ. Absolutely.
If instead of begging the question of a sphere Earth, it was just a little bit of Satan worship instead, how long would you tolerate it for?
So, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Instead of them saying, if I assume the Earth's a sphere, they say,
yeah.
If I assume, and then make their declarations of worship to Satan. How long would you tolerate that for before shutting it down?
Well, we'll shut it down right away.
I see. So, how is it any different when I say, why are you allowing them to beg the question? Why are you allowing this Satan worship?
Well, it's slightly different, right?
Why?
Slightly different.
So you think allowing them to indulge in this nihilistic outlook of a philosophy that has been reified, that's perfectly acceptable? No, I think it'll leave them in cognitive pain, potential psychosis. The people who we deal with specifically, not the public at large, who are just under the general apprehension that they're on a sphere because that's what they're programmed with. I'm talking about the people you deal with.
No, of course not. I wouldn't know. Absolutely.
So when you
But it's
when
slightly different now.
when it's put to you that you're not helping
Because-
by Globus, I'm just trying to reiterate Globus Trolling's point, which is to say that he doesn't think you're helping, and I'm trying to juxtapose
Right.
your allowing them to beg the question of a sphere Earth with just allowing a little bit of Satan worship, and you're like, well, that's not tolerable. Well, how is this different when it's just merely a philosophy that's been reified, a religious belief, if you will?
Because it's not. I mean, it's not quite the same. Like I say, this is something that's been taught since we were children. For a start, when you have religion, you can have that as a child. You grow up, you make a decision. With the globe, that's reinforced in a different kind of way. Propaganda. So it's slightly different. So this is more something that is actually physical that we can prove, but religion is faith, right? It's my faith. So I can't actually show you God, whereas we can show that the Earth is not a globe. A bit different, slightly
Hey,
I'm just still here.
Spurs.
Yeah.
What's the antecedent for creation?
You need a creator.
Well, then you can't show them God. So let's change the subject to mainstream media and the way they lie. How would you do it there? Everyone's got TV, let's say. They could either watch it or turn it off. Now you're debating someone who's always watching mainstream media.
Hold on.
How would you...
Hold on. Believe it or not, this conversation could potentially lose me my channel. Bit of Satan worship's fine. Believe it or not. But look, I'd prefer you didn't challenge the MSN. I'd rather keep my channel.
I got you, Nathan. Let me change the subject.
I'd like to make my concluding
Look, let's just have some wholesome Satan worship. That will be fine on YouTube.
That was very good, Nathan. How true of our society
That's
right
not.
there. How true
I
of
would
our
like to make my
society right
conclusion.
there.
Yeah, but Nathan, this is it. I mean, if somebody wanted to go down the satanic route, I would still question them. I would probably still say, okay, let's tell me what it is. Why is it that you believe? I would still question and be curious as to why they think it benefits them. And, you know, we would just try to find out and explore, is it the right thing? Because now this would be a moral thing, not a physical thing. So I'd be finding out, okay, so your satanic beliefs, what does it involve? And you would obviously outline that, and then we just talk about whether that'd be philosophy. See, but where's the shape of the Earth? This is physical.
Spurs, can I
practical.
challenge that, please?
Well, no, it's just wrong. It's flat out wrong because they're both philosophy.
But can I challenge what Spurs said?
Sure.
Your example is Jesus Christ, and how did he handle demonically possessed people? How did he handle the subject when he was here on Earth? Just do it the way he did it.
Okay.
And what did he do?
I'm listening.
I'm asking you. What did he do?
He did many
I'll tell
things.
you if you can't remember. I'll tell you. But I'm
They put him in
obviously
some
wanting
pigs.
to dialogue with you.
Go on. I'm listening. What did he do?
Okay. So you know what he did? He quoted scripture. He used the scripture, the truth. He did dance around.
Are we getting religious now?
No, the methodology is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about religion at all here.
He's
Okay, let's put it this way,
Spurs.
Spurs. Let's put it this way, Spurs. When Jesus met disingenuous, religious, if you want, priests, Sadducees, Pharisees, who were out to get him, trap him, because they couldn't stand that he was showing who they really were, made for profit, right? Selling all kinds of things in the temple of God for profit, that they were phony, and he embarrassed them at every point. Guess what? What happened there? He started to speak in parables, so they would not see. But prior to that, he told them head on directly. And then when he was arrested and they were questioning him illegally at night, which is against their law, tell us who you are. Just plainly tell us who you are. And then he wouldn't say anything. And then Are you the Son of God? Well, you said it. He made them say it. He's the example how to debate angry people.
Right. So the Earth's flat, is it?
Do you have proof otherwise?
Well, thank you for saying right. The Earth's flat. That's a good cutout right there. Eventually, one day.
Thank you for that segue. Hopefully, Chemo will just acknowledge what 10th Man said first.
No, I mean,
you're welcome.
Amen to that. Amen. Absolutely.
Perfectly vague.
So who's this guy that came? Right.
What?
Right. What's your channel name?
He asked if the Earth was flat. Is it? Well, do you have any proof that it would be otherwise?
I was just helping Nathan out, to be honest. He said thank you.
I'm good. I don't need help. Thanks.
Right.
No, I mean,
you're glad you're helping Nathan out.
Your question was
right.
Nathan wants to know, why do we allow the begging of the question? It's like, why would we allow satanic discussion? But both leads to the other. So globe Earth leads to flat Earth discussions, and if you start talking about Satan, then obviously that will lead to Jesus and the Bible, and that's just what will happen. So it would just be always that back and forth. So if you want to beg the question just to help the other side, because if Ruif is saying to me, when I hear that Ruif wants to become a flat earther, but he needs evidence in his mind, so I'm thinking, well, how does he see the world? How does he see it?
Wait a minute. You're saying Ruhif wants to become a flat earther?
Yeah, he's delusional. He's searching for confirmation bias for the globe.
He wants evidence that the Earth is not a globe. Right?
Wait a minute. No, that's a trick. Don't fall for that trick.
Not the same way. Because if he saw evidence how we saw it, he would be a flat earth. That's the point. These people see evidence in a different way, right?
No, it isn't.
No, they just seek confirmation bias.
Yeah, correct. Whoever said that. They're just seeking confirmation bias. Now, they might tell you, I'd think the other way if I didn't find the confirmation bias I'm looking for.
No, but again,
I have to take it to Spurs again, Nathan, if you allow me.
If we had all the resources at our disposal, we would do everything we can to prove the Earth is flat. I'm sure all of us would.
I need permission to take it to Spurs
You don't
again.
have to prove that.
What resources do I need for that, precisely?
Well, I mean, people want to see the dome, so-called edge, what's under the flat Earth. They want to know what's beneath. They just want to know more. They want to know more about where they live, and I'm sure
they don't want to know about the dome. They're just trying to prove that it doesn't exist.
Right.
Exactly.
Do you have arguments that strengthen your position? Like I do, because I'm not afraid to talk about domes. Not at all.
No, again, to me, I see them as kind of like patients. They're going through cognitive dissonance. So they don't like the label flat Earth because they think flat Earthers come with baggage, like the name.
It does.
They want to be.
They're right. They're right. It does. Yeah, they're terrified, Chemo, because what might happen is they realise that they're wrong and understand implicitly that they become us, open to ridicule, that's perceived as perfectly tolerable by the nation at large, wherever they may be, and they know that the alternative is getting constant ridicule. No, they don't want that. They're terrified of that. So they're seeking their confirmation bias to prove us wrong. They don't want to be in that position, so they're seeking the confirmation bias that Earth's a sphere. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, I think it takes a certain type of personality to be able to accept the truth and say, you know what, this is obviously going to put me against the entire world, and I don't care because it's the truth. Now, some people, like these people that we debate that have been telling us for 5 years flat Earth is dying, meanwhile they're still in the damn chat right now, these cornballs, these are the people who are so scared of losing their world paradigm that they will fight this to the end. Those are the Agent Smiths you're talking to out there. Right?
Yeah, they're hardwired. Hardwired with Globe. It's beyond. In the Matrix, when they say there's some people who reach a certain age that you just can't extract from the Matrix, they're these people.
Exactly. Yep.
So can I ask
Their mind
Spurs a
was,
question?
hold on, their mind was railroaded, and they can't get out of the tracks anymore because they've gone too deep into their mind.
Yeah, hardwired.
describe
Globe's
it.
hardwired now.
Can I ask Spurs a question? Is that all right?
Go ahead, if he's willing.
So Spurs, are you looking for answers? You want to find out more about the flat Earth, don't you? Do I?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm comfortable already. I understand, the Earth is absolutely flat, completely level, parallel, all those things. So to want to go and see the wall, do I want to go and see the wall? Not that big of a deal. If there's a dome, do I want to go, not that big of a deal. But there are people out there who are curious about these things. So, if I can help in any kind of way, and like I said, if I had the resources to do so, I would definitely try and help these people build their model that they're so desperate to build. And just help them build a picture of where they live, right? That's all.
That's really interesting. So what would it take for you to believe
just
in like a globe Earth? So like, what evidence?
Mate.
Oh, you'd have to show.
I just want to try and keep everyone on track. Spurs, you're not helping. I just want it to be Spurs and vacuum. Nobody else, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're looking for just evidence of a globe. So evidence for me would be curvature, that the Earth actually practically physically curves. And then there's a force that you can demonstrate and that would support that curvature of Earth. Just very simple things, Obviously, if you say there's a vacuum in space or gas pressure next to a vacuum, all these things, just simple demonstrations. If you can demonstrate these things, you would have me as your number one globe earther. I'd be out there defending the globe, and flat Earth would be pretty much over overnight, right? But just those simple things seem to be a bit of a problem. So no curvature, no gravity, no gas pressure, vacuum containers, experiments. So what more? Where can we go from there?
So like, have you actively sort of, are you drawing up experiments and things, that kind of thing? Because it sounds like you're really interested in.
Right. But you say the truth about what, though? What is it you want to know the truth about?
Oh, no, I don't want to know anything. I'm just here for my own entertainment. I just like asking questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I say, it's about the claim. So as I see it, I see the world, I observe the world flat, stationary. Now, obviously, if you were to say something like, well, no, it's not, it's curving and spinning, they're moving, then obviously who's the onus on? Who should prove that? Who should demonstrate?
Well, if you claim the Earth's spinning, you should have to prove it, I guess.
Right. And if you say it's curving, who should prove it?
Well, if you make a claim, I think you've got to prove it, yeah.
There you go. So that's it. So I'm comfortable with what I see. I'm comfortable with the way we can travel. We have maps.
I know, but sorry, I don't want to talk over you, but
Sure.
I understand you saying that, but you want to sort of expand that and find out exactly, because it's all well and good saying the Earth's flat, isn't it? But there are other questions you could ask. So like, how flat is it? Or is it sort of convex even? You want to get to the root of all that, don't you?
Well, again, why? Why do I need to know how flat?
Well, that is like humans. Humans sort of strive to find out these answers, don't they?
Yeah, but again, what benefit will that have?
Well, just knowing is a benefit, isn't it?
He's right. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's one of the best parts of figuring out that we didn't actually have all the answers that we thought we had. Wonderful. Yeah, nothing but a world of curiosity ahead of us. But what's your point?
No, I'm asking. I don't have a particular point, but I'm just interested to know that Spurs, he wants to find this out. Nathan, you don't seem to want to. You're happy just to say it's flat.
Divining my thoughts.
Because it is flat.
I've just described how wondrous it is not knowing.
Sorry, Nathan, I didn't mean to divine your thoughts. I'm sorry.
No, I think I agree with you. I think people will have lots of questions when they figure out that the nature of their observable world isn't as described in a philosophy called heliocentrism. That opens up a whole load of questions. I agree.
I think
I know.
upright.
But it's sort of like you
name.
go over the same points over and over. If you think you've proven the Earth's flat, you need to expand on that now and just sort of like get to the root of what's going on.
Oh, so you think that because we've demonstrably disproven Earth's sphericity and demonstrated obvious and observable flat and stationary world, that suddenly that the rest of the Western world will just change their mind because we've done that once?
Sounds like he wants us to.
No, I want more answers. I don't think you can do it.
I
but
see.
You should sort of push it in that direction.
Flat Earth
maybe.
Early Bird Show every day.
Sorry, yeah. So what you're saying is you're in the same boat as us. Suddenly you've had all of the answers you thought you had robbed from you, and now you're left with nothing but a lot of questions, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We need to get to the root of what's going on, Nathan.
This is we. We? So you're one of us now?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm one of you, Nathan.
Well, do you understand and appreciate that the Earth cannot be a sphere in a vacuum? Spinning, for example.
Oh, I'm being told I've got to keep my voice down. My missus is...
Or at the crucial moment where we figure out if you're actually just expressing your frustration that we've had for the last 5 years, that we don't have answers to some of these questions?
What?
Yeah. What?
No, I'm not saying you can provide all the answers, but you should certainly push this discussion in that direction. I think Spurs is doing that. I respect him for that.
Yeah, because that's what you want. You're saying, I want to know. I've said I'm comfortable, but I said if I had the resources to, take you where you need to get to go and what you want to do, then yeah, I'd definitely help you out. But right now,
I'm not clever enough to do that, Spurs. I think you should do it.
No, like I say, you need a lot of resources, a lot of people. It take a long, long time. So, but yeah, if that's something I was able to do, then yeah, I'll definitely do that for you and the Ball Earthers who want to know the truth, the ins and outs of where we live, which will only lead you to a career anyway. So if I can do that,
that shit you just said, that's what they want people to say. Oh, I'm not clever enough to figure this out. Oh, I'm not smart enough to figure this out. Oh, I shouldn't trust my senses. I should trust what the scientists say. That's what they want you to think. That's how they got us in the first place, man.
I'm really fucking stupid. Oh, sorry. I'm really stupid, so... I mean, I think that's just me, though.
That's you not giving yourself enough credit, bro. You have your experience. Your reality is on a flat stationary plane. You don't need someone else to tell you that. Don't take that away from yourself, man. That's crazy.
Well, the power of propaganda, Chocolate, is so powerful that these guys have bought it hook, line, and sinker, right? And that's why I've always said this is not about evidence. These guys will never accept any evidence, proof. They need a psychological reversal of some kind. They need therapy. I've always said this for a long time. These guys are going through
chemotherapy. Yes, we know. We know,
right
brother.
Yeah, but that's not going to work, Kimo. You're not going to get them out of the ball. You can help them survive the transition, perhaps, of the world going to abandoning the ball. But they're there because they choose to be there. It's always a matter of choice. And sometimes that choice is made really hard by everything you've done.
I just see it as a total tease. And they give heroin addicts morphine, so they're getting a little bit of it, just trickling it in. Well, that's what he's doing. Have a little bit of globe. Have a little bit of begging the question. He's just giving them morphine. It's just torture. I mean, I would imagine that it's cognitively extremely painful what Spurs does to them, but he actually thinks he's doing them some good.
Right. If you want an alternative, I am teaching my people, including Globers that visit me with respect in my channel, in my chat, how to deal with it and how you can look on it as a trade, as an art to do it, taking away the prospect that it might be real. And then there's still a lot you can do with it. That's my stance. That's my therapy. That's my transition vision.
That's fair enough. There's definitely more than one way to skin a cat. If you're trying to wean a smackhead off smack, you can give them little doses of morphine like Spurs does and call it chemotherapy. Or you can bitch slap that fucking fundy wanker, lock them in a room and throw away the key until they bleed that shit out of their pores.
Good analogy, bro. One or the other.
I like it.
Because, when you learn anything in life, you learn through repetition, right? So when you do it, Nathan, you give them the repeated questions for them to think about, right? And this is the new education: is can these questions be answered? So when I'm, with the globe earthers, I'm repeating, where's the evidence for the curvature? Where's the science for gravity? This is re-educating them, showing them that actually they don't have the evidence, or they don't have any proof or any way of demonstrating that they're on a globe. This is effective. And like I say, if you want to learn the
it would be
language,
if you didn't let them beg the
anything to
question,
life,
like you
it
did
needs to
with
be
Tony
repeated
Purcell.
over and over again.
No, with Tony Purcell, you didn't let him beg the question, so it was effective. But the other times when you do allow to beg the question, you're still giving him that morphine, is what Nathan's saying.
Oh yes. I mean,
you think
again,
you didn't give Tony Purcell morphine?
But this is it though. You see, Tony Purcell probably didn't need therapy in that moment. He needed
another
cold
job
water poured over his head, with ice. It was like here, like Nathan delivers here. So it was like just cold water. Take you go, wake up, and then now, by the end of that session, he needed therapy because now he has to come to terms with what's happening. You see, so that's where the
So Spurs' approach in this instance is bitch slap the heliocentrism out of them, and then give them a little bit of begging the question afterwards. Just a little bit of morphine to help them soothe the pain. You can still assume it's a sphere, just a little bit for a little while.
You should have also sent him ads on what other careers he might be interested in getting into.
I'd like to inject chocolate. I'd like to inject something. Oh,
this one didn't work out for him.
Sorry, chocolate.
No, I'm good. You good?
No, I was going to say I'd like to inject something, but I see Spurs is already doing that.
Inject, boom, boom.
And the morphine drip.
I love you, Spurs.
For the audience's benefit, all references to smack and morphine are purely metaphorical.
It's
and if anyone out there doesn't want to be pampered and actually wants to figure out how to deal with it when it really breaks them.
Chemo, do you mind? You're interrupting and rumpusing Arwin's third show plug on the trot.
That's right.
Arwin's getting good at that, huh?
They're talking about all this therapy. Well, I do that on my show too, but I have a very specific angle to it with a vision for the future, where all that has been loved, and at first, when you snap out of it, you love it a lot, and it hurts a lot, just like a girlfriend breakup. But I am showing a way as how you can give it a purpose on the long run, and not basically abandon all these faculty training things you've been doing. You can still do something with it.
Well, go to Arwen's channel to get no drip for
shit.
you.
It didn't hurt me.
I know, chocolate, but you're immune. I don't know why.
I didn't have enough experience on a fucking flying spinning water ball to be hurt losing the flying spinning water ball I never experienced.
Yeah, you've just haven't seen enough science fiction movies. That's all.
Oh, I have. Trust me. Look, my name is Chocolate Sand. I'm literally named after a flying space monkey. But
your suspense of disbelief didn't go far enough then, apparently.
No, that's fine. I just don't believe the crap that I'm told. But I can accept a cartoon for a cartoon. That's what it is. So,
Spurs.
Glad you're so solid.
Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs.
What's up, John?
What's up?
Yeah,
homie?
I'm back. Yeah.
So are you listening?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Here we go. When you talk about science, always remember this, all right? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect, man. It's cause and effect, dude. It gotta be cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect, Spurs. Cause and effect. Okay?
What are you talking about, John? Everybody knows it's just observation and declaration. Come on.
Sorry, we apologise for this quantum eraser robot error. Someone will smack the side of the machine and he'll stop repeating it.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect, Spurs.
Oh, my plugin's gone wrong. The quantum eraser plugin's going wrong.
Oh shit! Somebody update the programming.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I paid good money for this Quantum Eraser plugin. The last one was garbage. Just kept swearing, calling people crayon munchers.
This one keeps saying, "What's peeping, dog?"
Yeah, I keep telling people. They think I'm joking when I say I got a black Quantum Eraser plugin. They just think I'm joking.
Spurs still out there?
You there, Spurs?
I had to educate Bob the science guy on this yesterday, QE. I hope
What a
Jose
transition.
recorded it.
That was an excellent segue. Totally excellent. Cause and effect. Gotta remember, it's about.
Well, I had to educate. I mean, Bob was saying that you don't need an independent variable. It's completely laughable. He was saying that he can use measurements as his cause. Obviously, we know measurements are not the cause, but again, it's re-educating these guys. It's like John's just repeating there repetitively. That's what we have to get drummed into these guys who think hypothesis first, observation second. Not just any observation as well. It has to obviously be a phenomenon in nature that is questionable. And they obviously think a shoe, for example, is the observer's shoe, and they think this is a phenomenon. And there was obviously no question here that needs to be answered. We know man made the shoe. So again, this is pretty much what we have to outline with these guys. And I think a lot of them do know this. I think the older generation, not being rude to any of them, but I think they are more, more focused on. I think the younger they get, the more loose, and I think they're starting to come around.
Your musings on our opponent are being.
Snap out of it. Snap out of it.
Spurs, your musings on our opponent are being interrupted. Hopefully with good cause. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Were you there when the Mr. M. Scott Reach said that you can science a sneaker? Were you in that one, or?
I don't think he was.
He said you can science a speaker, as in a loudspeaker.
Sneaker, not a speaker.
Oh, damn.
Horseshoe phenomenon.
Damn. That was so close to me being able to claim science for something I do. Damn.
I'm just trying to tell Spurs about cause and effect, right? The hypothesis and experiment is all about cause and effect. It's not a cause and effect question. It has nothing to do with science. It's just cause and effect. The dependent variable is the effect. The independent variable is cause. Cause and effect, man. Spurs, cause and effect, man. Dude.
Hello, is that Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean,
I've got a slight issue with this plugin. Can you help me?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, John.
last update
just a friendly reminder.
Very loud, and hopefully this message can be effective. Obviously, when we engage with these zealots, as Nathan likes to call them, I like to call them, people who are going through a traumatic time, patients, as it were, and hopefully, these guys will see the light with this new. Well, is it new? It's not really new education. It's always been there. It's just been miseducation.
Years old.
Just cause and effect, man. It's how I question, dude. Set yourself free. Cause and effect. How I, man. What is questions don't work in the scientific method. Is that a tree? What kind of question is that? Is that how I or what is question, man? So what is question? Get in the scientific method, dude.
Yep.
That's what's peeping, dog.
Yeah, thanks. It's all sorted now. He seems to have sorted itself out. No technical assistance isn't needed. No, just cancel him. He doesn't need to come round. It's sorted.
Hold on. Let's try it out. Evolution.
Cause and effect, man.
Oh, shit. No, he's still there. He's still there. Yeah, send him out. Yeah, definitely send out the technician.
What's that? Pray tell.
It's sort of working, isn't it? It's sort of working.
Well, it actually evolved from the first statement.
Oh, shit.
Are you peeping, dog?
Oh, and I figured out what the problem is. 2 of my cores in the processor are down, so it's obviously just reacting slowly. That's all it is. I'll figure it out. Once the computer's restarted, the quantum eraser bot will be back to normal. It's all good.
Is this like an insider flat earther joke? I don't get it.
It's new. It's a new in joke. Very poor taste.
Quantum eraser is literally like Kit, like the artificial intelligence in the car. except he's in Nathan's computer.
No, he's on the internet.
Technically, it's Dirth's computer, but we won't cover that. I mean, technically, it's not Dirth's computer; it's Megatron's computer. But again, we're just going off the beaten track here.
Not Megatron, it's Starscream.
Cybertron was round.
So, are you a flat earther now? With all the questions we have, Vacuum. Reluctant to admit it, I can tell.
I'm not a flat earther, no, Nathan.
But when we were covering having a ball of gas in a vacuum and proving Earth curvature, all that sort of stuff, you were all in agreement.
No, that's not what I said, actually.
So, do you think that the horizon's a physical sphere edge?
What?
Do you believe that the horizon is a physical sphere edge?
Do I believe it's a physical sphere edge?
Yeah, you know, blocks,
think
boats
it's-
and buildings, calculable with Earth curve mathematics, utilisation
Well,
of geometry,
the
all
edge
that stuff.
doesn't- The edge doesn't physically enter my eyes, if that's what you're asking.
Did I say, does the edge of the Earth enter your eyes? No, that's not what I'm asking. Do you believe the horizon's a sphere edge? That's my question.
I don't know.
It's a part of your religion of being on a sphere, though. It's fundamental to having geometry of a sphere.
Are you divining my thoughts, Nate?
No, I'm telling you the rhetoric of the religion you don't understand clearly. No, definitely not divining your thoughts, detailing heliocentrism.
I don't. It's true, that.
So number one on this list of why you're on a sphere, having Earth curvature, no go, right?
Yeah, no go.
No go. Okay? So what about the vacuum of the sky, otherwise known as outer space? Do you appreciate that we'd all be dead?
Well,
the gas would fill
the
it?
sky isn't outer space, is it?
Yeah, the sky vacuum, yeah.
Well, what? The sky isn't outer space, Nathan. Come on.
So last night, when I looked up at the stars, was I looking at the sky?
Yeah, but I mean, you
Yeah,
need to be a
but
bit more
yeah, but
concrete than that.
yeah, but what's this? Yeah, but yeah, you mean yes, Nathan? That's correct. You were looking at the sky. That's claimed to be a vacuum. Hence this prefix sky, and then this fundamentalist presupposition vacuum. Sky vacuum. That's right. Yes, you think the sky is a vacuum. It isn't. The gas we're breathing would fill it.
I think you're divining my thoughts again. I didn't say that.
No, I'm detailing the heliocentric worldview that the sky is a vacuum, not divining your thoughts.
Well, if I quoted Bob Nodell and said he subscribes to your religion, you'd shut me right down, wouldn't you?
Sorry, what was that word salad? I don't understand what Bob Nodell has to do with this. Maybe you can example him? I don't
Oh,
understand
come on.
what
I
you're
think you're
talking
smarter
about.
than that, Nathan. Do I have to spell it out for you?
What, give an example with clarity? Yes, please.
Well, hasn't he proven Earth rotation twice?
No.
Tell us how we did that.
Next topic, then.
I was going to get to Earth rotation next. We're still on the sky vacuum. I've got really three things. Sort of top three, really. One is the sky vacuum, this idea that we've got this gas pressure not filling a vacuum.
Okay, what do you want me to say?
Well, I'm going through the steps of relinquishment of your faith in this globe reification. One is that we don't have any curvature. The sphere edge horizon that was asserted to block boats and buildings has been debunked by the Black Swan. Then we've got this gas pressure without a container in violation of natural law. The gas we're breathing would fill the space if the sky was a vacuum. And if you don't have any response to that, it means presumably that you're under the understanding that we can't have a sky vacuum. Unless you've got anything to respond to that with. Moving on after that, it'll be.
I think I'd like to go back to my earlier point. So, like, you've proven all this, inverted commas. So, what next? Well, I mean, what's
that's my
outside
question
the
to you,
container, for
if you
example?
understand it. That's my question to you. What's next for you? A lot of questions about the world that you thought you lived in? Because that's kind of what you're doing, but without actually acknowledgement
Well,
that.
I might send a weather balloon.
So you do understand that the world you thought you lived in isn't the world you actually live in then? You do appreciate that then?
Well, I think it's irrelevant if I give you an answer, surely. I'm just
Irrelevant. So not sphere, just irrelevant. The models and the philosophies are irrelevant.
No, my point is, it's irrelevant what I think. Surely you just need to expand on what you're saying. I mean, you've proven it to yourselves. Now you need to go a bit further. This is just like a bit of an echo chamber, really.
Well, I'm asking you. No, it's not an echo chamber. You and I are having a
Well, I'm
discussion.
saying
You
it's
stand
irrelevant.
in contradiction of what I'm stating. So you're saying, no, I don't believe the Earth is flat. No, I do believe the Earth's a sphere. And presumably, that would mean it had Earth curve, but no response to that. And presumably, in a vacuum, because that's the model, but you don't have a response to that either. So I'm just getting to the point where I understand where you can have a sphere belief. At the moment, it seems completely untenable and unfeasible that you would even entertain this idea, but you're yet reluctant to admit it. I know why, because admission of this would mean that you were open to ridicule, right? The ridicule you enjoy putting us through at the moment, even though you don't have a tenable religious belief of a sphere to justify. And we'll talk through me while I detail that.
Hey, Vacuum, you said it's irrelevant what you say, but you haven't said anything.
No, I said it's irrelevant what I think.
Yeah, right, but you haven't said anything, or you haven't told us.
I know,
your
that's
answer
because
to
I
the
said
top
it's
3.
irrelevant.
In certain contexts, it's going to be irrelevant what you think. But it doesn't change the fact that 95% of the Western world think they're on a sphere, which is merely a philosophy with lots of lateral law violations attached to it. And you declared that that was your world outlook. So, no, while you as an individual won't change the current rhetoric of a sphere Earth in a vacuum that's spinning, that's still the rhetoric. Regardless of if you know it, understand it, have an opinion on it. No, none of that's relevant, but it doesn't mean we can't discuss it. And it doesn't mean that's not the rhetoric because you don't agree with it or understand
don't
it.
get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't discuss it, but you just keep saying the same things over and over. You need.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you appreciate that you can't have a sky vacuum? It's been obfuscated for about 5-6 minutes. But if you'd have actually acknowledged that we can't have that sky vacuum in that heliocentric worldview, we'd obviously, put our arms around you and go, good for you, mate. Now you've got the same questions as us, it seems. But you're reluctant to acknowledge any of those things. And we'll talk through my conclusion when I get to it, like now. Now that I'm saying that you're reluctant, you're talking through me. Like last time when I got the conclusion, you started talking through me, like you're doing now. It's because it's troubling, and you won't let me continue and actually make a concise point with an ending. You'll talk through me as it triggers you. So when I point out that you're reluctant to concede these details that you don't have a response to, obviously you've heard them, you've been here. Yeah, I know why. It's because that leaves you open to the ridicule you subject us to. And you don't want that. I know.
I come on here, and I'm subject to your ridicule, so I don't actually know.
Well, you're only subject to ridicule when you act like a fuckwit.
Come on now, Nathan. Your mother, were you dragged up? Were you?
Why is this ad hom about my raising? I don't get it. We're talking about sky vacuum.
You just called me a fuckwit. Come on, don't talk about ad homs, man.
Yeah, well, I said if you behave, it's hypothetical if, like a fuckwit, then you will receive the sharp end of my tongue. That's just a fact. Don't talk shit.
I think your tongue's
you won't
being
get verbal
down,
pain.
to be honest.
Don't talk through me, you won't get told off. Things like that. So far, so good. We're just getting to the point where we expose your reluctance to acknowledge your defeat. And I'm detailing why you have that reluctance. It's because you'd be subject to the same ridicule we are, and every time I detail that, you start talking through me. Because you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear that us pointing out that you have got an untenable sky vacuum belief, and you acknowledging it would leave you in a position where you could be ridiculed by the people around you. Those vultures just waiting to pounce on you and categorise you like us. Now, you definitely don't want that. I know that, and you know that.
Have you seen they've spotted vultures in the UK for the first?
What, like the ones that are surrounding you, were you to in any way concede an appreciation of the sky vacuum in its untenable nature based on its violation of natural law? Are we going to stick on this topic or talk about the vultures in England? Metaphorically.
I just thought it was an interesting point I thought I'd make.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting analogy that you've got vultures surrounding you on your own side. Yeah, they're not your friends. They will rip a shred out of you if you even dare concede that the sky's not a vacuum. So don't. It's really funny for me to drag you around indefinitely with you not conceding like a little weasel. It's really funny. It's really amusing for the audience too, because they, like me, if they're on my side, recognise that were you to even remotely concede this, you'd be ripped to shreds by your own side because they're all vultures waiting to pounce on you. You know it. I know it.
I think you're overstating this whole side.
Not at all. If you in any way show some humility here and concede that the sky can't be a vacuum, your own side will rip you to shreds. That's a fact.
I think you're right in a way.
I know I'm right. Do you not think I've been here for 5 years, subject to that ridicule that you would be open to were you to concede? That's why we have the most snivelling fucks when it comes to getting a concession. Because you're absolutely terrified of that which you subject us to. And so you should be. Act like a pathetic scumbag. Don't concede it. Let's stick on this vacuum point indefinitely with you behaving like a snivelling weasel, just proving my point. That you're all shit scared of the ridicule you subject us to.
Okay, I don't know what your point is, though, to be honest.
My point is that you will not concede that the sky can't possibly be a vacuum. It's ludicrous to assert such nonsense. Because were you to concede, you would be ripped to shreds by your own scumbag fundamentalist zealot side of globe-believing fundies. That's my point.
You're doing nothing but asserting beliefs and discrediting people. You're doing nothing but poisoning the well. It's a red herring. It's an ad hominem.
Who is?
It's literally not valid.
Who is? What's not valid? Need to get specific. If you say who, you need to talk about who. If you're going to give an example, detail that example with specifics. So vague. Why?
Your entire conversation with vacuum was nothing but a red herring, an ad hominem, poisoning the well. Look it up.
Or you just repeated the same list of fallacies with absolutely no clarification being given. Do you think I'm just going to sit here and let you parrot this same list of fallacies over and over again without giving any clarity whatsoever to what you're spouting? You need to give clarity. Give an example. Pick one of the fallacies. Detail what's happened with that fallacy as an example. Go.
I think he made a really good point, Nathan.
Shut up. We're not talking to you anymore. Why are you laughing so much? What's so funny?
This is flat earth humor.
Awesome. That was so bloody neat.
That was so good. Listen, we all know what's going on here. He had 3 housekeeping questions. He never gave an opinion or an answer to it. He dodged every one. And then this guy comes in and says, you're the one doing the red herring.
Right. Yeah, project that onto us without example. Just spew it, man. It'll make you feel a lot better if you think that we're guilty of all the nonsense we've been subject to here. Yeah. Maybe tell us we're cherry picking. That's a good one.
Can I ask you a question?
Can I try Nathan like a glober?
Oh, we've got a couple though. I can't really allow the devil's advocate, Mike, when there's 2 globers fighting to red herring and obfuscate.
Look, I believe that it's globe, but it's irrelevant radius, vacuum, and anything.
Let's get back to the guy with the baseless generalized assertions, vague, baseless assertions. He run them together. It looks like you got a glossary of fallacies. Can you pull one of those fallacies out? Go ahead and support. Get this in your vocabulary. You know, claim then as evidenced by. That forces you to, for your next statement, to provide support for the horse shit you just claimed. So, horse shit, then as evidenced by specificity, please.
That's the word. Specificity, please. Pickle Rick.
Can I ask both of you like a question?
Pickle Rick.
take that as a yes. Do you have any?
Me
Nathan,
repeating
this
the
is to
person
you,
we've asked
and
the
maybe
question,
Quantum
you'll
and
take that
Realist
as a
well.
yes. That'll get you muted and
Do
shut
you-
up and kicked out of the show.
Yeah.
Pickle Rick, you spewed a load of baseless assertions, listed off a load of fallacies. We're asking you to detail and example one of those fallacies.
Let's go with poisoning the well, Pickle Dick. How in the world did Nathan poison the well? Please. What is poisoning the well anyway? And then how did he do it? Yoo-hoo! Pickle Dick!
Archaea is expert on poisoning.
Oh,
wells.
God.
Just loads of
Are you
people coming to
Pickle
save
Dick?
him. They sense blood in the water, these vultures.
No, one wingman came and won't talk. Now here comes the second wingman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's responses from the wingmen.
The retarded wingman. Pickle
They all white
Dick.
lie for each other.
Pickle Dick.
Not gonna
Hello.
He's not going to respond.
Essay.
He's not going to. Clearly. That said, I didn't give an example. I didn't say you will have your vultures turn on you as exampled by. Oh, Rick's got the right idea as soon as I start talking, open his fucking mic. Right, cunt face? Right, cunt face? I started talking because you'd left protracted silences, so that's the right time for you to talk your shit straight through me. Maybe claim that the little 3 or 4 seconds of you interrupting me was actually you making your point. Yeah? Tell me about it, right? You just made a full example of your fallacies, right? Or total mic silence when I shut up. Watch.
I just heard pickle a few times. I assume somebody was talking about me. I'm not sure.
Oh, right. You spewed your
My
baseless
word.
assertions and then just wandered away from the mic and stopped listening to anything anybody replied to you with. That figures. So you spewed off a load of fallacies.
I'm sorry. I'm phasing out insults. That's why I can't pick up.
No worries. You just have to...
Maybe you should phase yourself out.
Yeah, just prick your ears back and try and pay attention. You listed off a load of fallacies, and we're asking you to actually give an example with maybe one of them in isolation, with an example specifically of how that fallacy was being utilised by you. Can you do that? Pretty please?
Not in any way that you would accept as valid.
Don't divine my thoughts about what I'll accept. Just try and do it.
I made my statement in 2 sentences. If me pointing
You've got an audience. You're trying to convince the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Pickle Deck. Pickle Deck.
Rejecting.
Stop your diarrhea of the mouth. Pickle Deck. Pickle Deck. Stop your diarrhea.
Sorry,
for a second.
he doesn't get what's going on, QE. So what's happening is he said, no, I can't give you an example in any way that you would accept. In other words, the answer is no. Now he thinks that given that he said no, he's now got unquestionable control of the mic. No, you've said you can't give us an example. So that's a no then. You can't do that then.
And I would like to add a 2-sentence explanation without you talking through me. Is this okay?
No, we'd just rather you detailed the fallacies you accused us of with an example. Can you do that or not?
Why should I?
I can just kick you the fuck out then. Bye-bye. Baseless assertion using motherfucker. No, you don't get to just come here and say you're a bank robber and a rapist and then fuck off from your mic and claim that you're downloading something. No, that's not how it works. That's the behaviour of a cunt. No, you don't just get to claim we've poisoned the well and then not give a specific detailed example of it, only for us to ask for one and you say, why should I? Well, because if I claim you're a rapist, you better damn well expect me to prove it with some sort of example. Not just say, why should I prove you're guilty of this crime you need locking up for? I can just merely state that you're guilty of it and then have you locked up, because that's totally reasonable. Or the behaviour of a complete cunt. I think it's the latter. Hence, you've been kicked the fuck out, cunt.
What a moron, man. Well,
that's what we deal with.
We're trying to get you to support what you say, and don't worry about what we're going to do in the future. You're not presenting your case to him. You're presenting your case to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that are listening to this, not to us. You don't have to convince us. You have to convince the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, but you can't, because you're sniveling in weasels. Thank you.
Perfect ending. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 Premiering stream or Nathan Oakley Premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!